sell it. I'm feeling some kind of way about it, both good and bad. I don't like getting rid of my stuff.
It's all right, man. New beginnings, man. You know what I mean? New beginnings.
We'll find out. All right, guys.
Cyber beginnings.
I like it. We're I missed that part there. Cyber beginnings. Yeah. Okay, I missed that part. You see? What, you hear that, Neil? It's not official, especially with that $2,500 lease price, Neil. Prohibitive. Neil's that way, guys. And Obi.
Tina T. Thank you.
Was official, Sharif. I'm just saying, we know you want that Cybertruck. Welcome back, everybody. For everyone that doesn't know, Sharif obviously has wanted the Cybertruck, but getting it here in Canada is not exactly the jam. So you're fired, or not, or maybe you are, or maybe he's not.
Maybe.
Or possibly he's thinking about it, but also possibly he's not thinking about it. So we don't know what's going to happen with Fed Chair Powell. It got all denied after it was apparently a certainty. And we talked about, and this is the theme I want to get to. We'll show that meme in a quick second.
Yes.
But we've mentioned this. I knew I should have just waited, wait. And then once something you already liked sets back up, then jump into it. It was so easy to get chopped around there. And I'm mad at myself. I should be an ETH again, but I'm not. It's just these little things that happen when you get a little extra volatility. You get away from what you were doing that was working before, and you try to find something else, or you can just wait till things settle down and do the thing that worked. But I love the meme you have.
Yeah, no, it's going around Discord, it's going around Twitter. I think it's pretty funny, and it kind of sums up today's action here on the futures here. So you can see left side of the chart. This is what the futures were looking like when it wasn't even Trump. Let's be real. It wasn't even Trump. It was, people from the White House, representatives, whatever, and then he's just like, yeah, no, that's not true. So it's just, I summarized all of that action as a little bit of Fugazi, a little bit of Fugazi. That's all it is, you know what I mean? If you look back at all of the Mag 7, I was showing Neil this earlier as well, everything is within a range. All of those dips keep getting bought up. And even with the people pounding the bid on negative potential news here or speculative news, again, that dip getting pretty much bought up on a lot of names here. So yeah, we'll see what we have in store. I got a little chopped up on that Apple initially. Again, I had a short here from that 212 area from earlier, and I was like, okay, well, this is looking a little slow. So again, my mistake was that I covered. Just, dude, put in your proper risk and let the trade work for you. I get a little cheeky, try to flip long on VWAP, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not coming in. Then we start getting those salams into the bid. My actual first stop out was the first news of that of the potential speculation of Jerome Powell being fired. And you can see I try to take a continuation, and then me getting stopped out for my last little bit right here. It was so funny. The market moved so fast, Neil. Yeah. So I didn't even flex. I didn't even try to remove liquidity. I put in a limit order, and it was trading down here at 209, I think 70s or 80s. I put in my limit order. I get filled on 210.33s. So that basically told me that the market moved so fast, our platform basically lagged. That's the kind of volatility that we're dealing with right now. So
in
I'm
those
like,
moments,
all right.
100%. Absolutely 100%, everybody.
Where's the next trade?
I get it. You always have to just look for what is next. But to that point, before we get to Joe's going to be doing the rundown, like this bottom in the Qs, like, oh my goodness, but how could you have possibly remotely figured out where the market would bounce? Oh my, it's so annoying. And, well, it's not just the Qs. You could have been looking at, I don't know, let's pull up Amazon. I have not traded Amazon today. Oh, not bad, but not obvious. Let's try Google. Let's try Alphabet. Where did Alphabet bounce? Oh, yeah, Alphabet's a good example. You want to find the thing that, if it was working, if something worked before, find that to go back to after you get the news. So you scan and you're just looking for opportunities. Okay, well, I mean, This is something which had shown you a very key level at 182. Even on that dump at the close yesterday, it held 182. So you find something that it bounced off 182, okay, play a continuation long into the high. Something along those lines. The one that we pointed out was ARM as something that made a lot of sense. It was just whatever you happen to be looking at. 150 was a key level. And this one's the best on the lower time frame. So if you're doing nothing with ARM until the news hits, and 150 was a key level from before in the 15-minute, look what happens when it gets back to 150. All of a sudden starts behaving nice and consolidative and then breaks away. So nice clean breakaway above, and that's how you get into something new. Now to me, one of the biggest themes today, let's be real, it's the crypto, but you just, well, I can cancel this order now. Anyways, well, that would have been a nice fill. So this market's unbelievable. Circle's unbelievable. ETH is going ham. When we were looking at crypto this morning in the space, I mean, Bitcoin is actually bouncing pretty nicely off VWAP, but it was the fact that you had this sell-off. And look, you can look across the board, whether it was Circle tanking with the vote in the afternoon yesterday or just anything else in the crypto space, whatever moved the most, you observed that IBIT held VWAP and clearly had no, not IBIT, sorry, ETH held VWAP and had no intention of going as far as everything else. And then today you gap up, it is still the strong one out there. So this, and of course Circle, because of the Genius Act, it's gonna get voted on. They passed a procedural vote today so that it will get voted on again. The idea being, and look, we're not American, but if you know American politics, you got a bill coming through, looks like it's supposed to get the votes. Someone always tries to shove something on the back of it or add a few things that they want to slide on in. That can cause it not to get passed, and then you go back, and then there's like, let's get some concessions here and concessions there, and you do this and get this for my state. All that kind of stuff happens, and then eventually you get it done. So it feels like this is still going to get done, but at the same time, it is all about ETH today, not necessarily Bitcoin. I did trade IBIT at one point, but ETH, I got to find a way to buy the dip. Nice long trend all day. We're not going to get, if you get VWAP today, it's because they voted again and it didn't get passed. That's the way I see it. So I want to try to get this trend from the volume weighted average price. That's all the way at 25. It has to pull back over a full point to get me into this trend trade, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But that's where we're at. Strong rebound and V-shaped recovery, but not all things are V-shaped. Some things were just held the trend line. That's why I'll beat myself up a little bit today. Because if I had not tried to go over to like a chip name or two when you're having all that crazy action with Powell, I could have just gone right back to the bottoming tail candle. Once it establishes the trend line, there were plenty of places to grab it. Once it held here, you could have get it here, could have had it here. I did try to get it here off the 25 level for sure. It's crazy action.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at some of these stocks here. So again, I guess it was a few minutes ago, and I'm sure this was reported on basically SRM and DJT. Token holders approved trading for Trump's World Liberty Financial cryptocurrency SRM. So I just pulled up both of those stocks here. You can see SRM already moving to the upside here, and DJT also catching a little bit of volume and a push to the upside. So again, eyes on a lot of these stocks, but yeah, Circle is the one I am eyeing right now because it's doing the thing, man. It's finally broken out that 212 area. Sure, it was a little choppy, but look at that volume that came in through that break, holding consolidation lows above prior structure and just stepping up and continuing to step up as of right now as well. 236s, how far will it go? Let's just take a look back at the chart and see where we're coming up into. Again, all-time highs, that 300, oh boy, I was definitely there. 298.99s, and then prior high coming up into 240s. Nothing really too crazy until maybe about 250, 265s. But yeah, this thing running right back up, held that anchored pretty well from that opening price and then breaking some of these prior consolidations for that nice run up. Of course, getting that strong tailwind from things that are being passed that are related to crypto. But enough with that. Let's see what you guys voted on with the rundown. Take it away, Joe.
All right, guys, welcome to the afternoon rundown, the segment chose by you. So the most popular stocks we're going to talk about here this afternoon. But make sure you get in the chat with Sharif and I and get those votes in, $, and then the ticker that you're looking for. Let's talk about one of the hottest stocks on the day. What a quantum leap we're seeing here in RGTI, up 30%, some big breakthroughs in the quantum space. So this is a positive outlook for RGTI, guys.
Oh,
that was a little different like 2 seconds ago.
Just bait and switch?
Yeah, it said crypto bounce initially, but yeah, oh boy, RGTI, Rigetti. This is a 30-minute chart. We got to go down a little bit more here, but yeah, holding that VWAP so well off the morning session. That VWAP now coming in at $15 clean, but we're extended way past that. 1673 highs with the 1648 currently trading, and yeah, coming up into some prior levels as well. This is going back up into the 3-hour chart. You can see we're breaking out of this prior high in and around $16.20. Seems like we are definitely on our way. If this momentum is to continue, and if this trend is to continue, those all-time highs at 2142 as well. So not too far away. But if it moves like this for back-to-back days, I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on. But for sure, Rigetti today going crazy. I think were we talking about this one in the morning as well? I think it was a few of the names there as well. But yeah, Rigetti definitely was one to watch out for, holding and breaking out of some technical levels today, Neil.
Yeah, I gotta feel like if it wasn't for the focus on some of the crypto names and looking at the crypto space today, Rigetti probably wouldn't have gotten missed. But when you're like, if you were long ETH or you were long Circle, I'm sure you're not mad that you missed out on Rigetti. You can't really act that way. That said, it was kind of, I mean, let's be real, it was kind of obvious. It was gapped up. I know traders here, like when I talked to Wayne, former floor manager here, now works in the campus program, when he was making his list of stocks, like, does this not stand out? Like in the pre-market, you were already gapping to break that level, and at the open, you were pulling back into the prior high on a big stair step. And we've seen what these can do. And look at the trend that this has going on Rigetti. I can tell you, someone was asking in the chat, who was it? Might have been Dorothy. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint. Do any of us own quantum names in our long-term accounts? I explained QBTS, but the way I should say it is this. I didn't have anything outside of my exposure was IBM and Google, which isn't really the same thing. And there was a conversation a couple of years ago that my wife and I were having about like the next big thing. And we were talking about, I was mentioning quantum, and she said, well, what would you buy for that? I'm like, I have no idea. I go, this is what we have, but it's in my account. And I'm like, this is what we have. And she's like, well, and she was at a conference, which was a data security conference or class. And there's some industry professionals there, and they were discussing quantum. And they had mentioned QBTS, D-Wave. And she's like, well, what about this thing? I keep hearing about that. I'm like, it was $1 at the time. I go, sure, why not? Let's go. So really, that's the only reason I own it. Like, there's nothing profound about it. But as far as Rigetti goes, this seems like it's a new swing. I'd just be a little bit cautious with it. Like, if you look at right around the same price area when it did this before, it had about the same move back in December of 2024 when these things were really going the first time. Like, the continuation was more of a slowly backtracking consolidation. I'd be a little bit, I don't know if I'd want to be buying it at these highs to play this move. I think you let it cool for a couple of days, see where it makes a bit of a bounce. I don't want any part of the long up here. If anything, it's not even doing a really clean trend. Like, I can't even give it a clean trend line to revert it. I'm not touching it up here in the top, up 30%. I think this is more of a find the bottom the next couple of days and try to play off of that, or see if there's some kind of I'm only doing QBTS because that's the one I have, some kind of sympathy play that can also break out. Like, I know this was all Rigetti. Not like QBTS went either. Like, if you can get one of these that just goes on sympathy, that could be a little something. I'm just going to double check INQ here. Yeah, that didn't do anything either. So those could be interesting plays, but I'm not touching Rigetti at these tops.
Yeah, no, Rigetti, again, can't say much more about that.
Nice trade. All right, good stuff there, guys. As always, Neil doing a little dance. We love seeing that. Guys, next on the docket, we have Unity up just under 13% on the session, but getting that nod from Jefferies, an upgrade from $29 to $35 here for a potential price target. What does it look on Unity, guys?
Once again, remember when I said when all of that Trump Powell stuff was happening, go back to something that worked, right? I was in two positions for the majority of the morning, Unity long and ETH long, right? So all of that crazy shakeout happened. Look, Unity, it was just an upgrade, but Unity is just, look, it was an excuse to squeeze on the stock. That's what I'll call it, excuse to squeeze on Unity. So it was breaking out. There really wasn't much to this other than break of the pre-market high, dip into the pre-market high. And then I used the range. I ended up getting trailed out here using the opening candle range, which kind of stunk because it was a bad exit. But to my point about how we're supposed to get better as traders, when all of that, and you think of it as macro stuff is happening with Trump and Powell, if I had just gone back to two stocks, trend on ETH and Unity, exactly where we bought it off of the open, and just not even care what was happening in the rest of the space, or rest of the market. Like, don't try to trade any Tesla. We'll get to next. Don't try to trade any NVIDIA. Just go right back and buy it where you bought it before and go back on schedule. It's an even better trade because I promise you, like this time, if I get it the second time, I'm not going to trail that piece out here and I'm going to get the high. I'd probably be out of it now at that top because that's just my style. But this is a day one squeeze play. It's just gone through resistance, and I want to do this, which is show you a higher time frame to give you an idea where this might go, monthly or weekly. Let's go for a monthly chart, kind of making an educated guess. Weekly might have been better, but just get an idea. I'm going to go to a weekly. Unity. There we go. That's just a little bit better of an idea. So you can see this nice bottom, little rounded bottom top, making some higher lows on this break, and you need to retest this 35 area first, which is, I think, where this move can get to. And if you get through that, you've got a bigger wall, 40 to 45 area here. So this is really just getting started, and it is a squeeze play. You want it to take out that next level. So I think this will be on the radar tomorrow. It'll be on the radar the day after that, as long as there isn't some kind of capitulation the next couple of days. We're not going to be doing the dance, but Unity is definitely working.
Yeah, this is, again, another one that gapped up in the pre-market and got that continuation right off of the open. Sure, we pull back a little bit, but what kind of stands out to me is that we can't pull back further than too much of VWAP right there. VWAP holds quite well and gives you that trade once again, and probably even better, some would argue, after the pullback and the price action has kind of consolidated and giving you that next leg a little bit higher. But you can see, yeah, buying still staying strong on this one today as it continues to hold VWAP, even with the quadunk that the market kind of had during the midday, kind of reclaims and holds back above that VWAP, which is currently sitting at 33.15. So yeah, definitely very, very strong excuse me, on this one. But yeah, looking back at the chart, you can see it's already been in an uptrend moving into some of these prices. So breaking out on multiple time frames for sure, back to back, trending on a higher time frame as well. So yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. I think that it's definitely not the end of this story yet. As you can see, we've been running up for weeks. No real sign of slowing down here on Unity.
Yeah, great stuff as always, guys. Tesla up next, up under just 3% on the day. So a nice move with some overhead and possibly some headwinds here in Elon Musk's way. So you can see that Tesla could face severe oversight as Trump's National Highways Traffic and Safety Administration picks Jonathan Morrison, who's not only going to highlight the benefits of autonomy, but also the dangers as well, too. So that could lead some more regulatory issues for Elon Musk.
Yeah, that was the reason for the drop yesterday. Well, okay, that's ahead of myself. That was the reason for the drop at the end of the day yesterday. Most of what was happening earlier was just that control at the 320 level, which, you know, obviously you can see what's happening above 320 2 days ago, and then you can see what happened yesterday at the 320 level where it tanked down, ended up breaking, only broke 312 because of that headline. By the way, Tesla's kind of losing the bid at 320 again. I knew where I was going to be trading this, and I came in this morning looking for that short at 320. We missed the first one. Why? Because we're going long Unity, and wanted to be long ETH. So you're going to miss some opportunities like this right off the open because you're looking somewhere else. And when I shorted it the second time, the best way to explain it was it just felt too strong in the tape, so out flat. And once it starts closing above the 15-minute on 320, above 320, I'd start taking shots at long. So I just started taking scalp breaks. The only one, if I have to call one a mistake, these are really, really tight stops. But if one of them is going to be a mistake, it was tight stop here without a scalp. Like I took this break, basically, sometimes I would usually take the $0.50 and then the even dollar. In this particular case, I got myself pretty convinced because of the V-shaped bottom that it was just gonna go. And I'm like, I'm holding everything on the first piece for the next dollar break, which I don't usually do. So that's the one I'm gonna consider the fail. The rest of it, I'll give it 3 shots at that top with a tight stop. So that's what I did. And ultimately, it looks like the sellers are still in control at this 320 level. I wish that was not true, but that just seems like what it is. So we really need Tesla to, at some point, just start breaking away from the sellers that are winning at this 320. I thought it was going to be today. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
All right, guys, so big news for Vietnam's green mobility shift. A major win for VinFast, Nasdaq ticker VFS. Starting July 1st, 2026, Hanoi will ban gas-powered motorcycles in its city center, kicking off a nationwide move towards electric transport. VinFast is in prime position to benefit with major investments in EV tech, battery production, and charging networks. It has a strong head start while others scramble. VinFast is ready, and this policy only sharpens its edge, guys. So Tesla. I've had eyes on it today as well. Pre-market run-up was quite strong as well. You can see right here, pushing up into these prior levels. We talked about that 320, which has been holding as a little, not a 51-minute time frame. I would like a 15-minute time frame. There we go. So holding up as a little bit of a resistance level. We saw that coming in on Monday. Kwadunk with that aggressive first 15-minute candle. Once again on Tuesday, which was yesterday, closing pretty much at the week low. Today, recovering all of that action and then holding that same area as a little bit of resistance. So the question becomes, when and if this seller lifts, how much further can we go? Now, of course, Tesla is kind of coming down from that 360 push that we had not too long ago, just going into the end of June, that price coming in the pre-market on June 24th. So let's see if that seller can lift. But again, we've been pulling back pretty decently. And what we mentioned in the morning as well was we're just kind of consolidating sideways in the zone, holding a nice base on that 415. So yeah, in terms of intraday, if we can get past that 320 level on this week high, then I would definitely be interested. Now again, we got 2 more days in the week. Might not happen today, but we'll see how the week closes off with some Tesla.
Fantastic stuff, guys. Robinhood up 4% on the day, a little bit more than that. 8.5% on the week. This stock has been on a monster move. Robinhood stock hits all-time highs Wednesday. What's going on? There's a lot of stuff. Stablecoins, a big-time positive here for Robinhood. Let's see what the boys think.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, like we were saying yesterday, the stocks that reacted to the Genius Act vote down the most negatively, when we were gapped back up today, that was a good place to start. And so, my focus, I wasn't focused on Robinhood at all. But whether you liked Robinhood, whether you liked Circle, whether you liked ETH, it doesn't really matter. Just whatever you had the best handle on, or whichever one spoke to you, as long as it was one of the ones that was moving the best. And what's interesting, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. If you were one of the traders, I said that was one of the things you were looking at. I'm sure there's others. Maybe SBET would be another example, so I'm not just talking about ETH and Circle all the time. When all that chaos happened, go back to the well. Because the dip on the Powell firing just pulled you right back into prior highs. It's a classic technical sort of break, and you can get caught up in the macro sometimes and ignore the price action. And the price action on Robinhood just said, oh, really? We're breaking out here because all of that short yesterday on the negative vote is getting blown out, and you're going to give us a pullback in a prior high, well, take it. So whether it doesn't really matter what you took, this one seems like it's going. We're going to talk about Circle next. So I would venture to say a lot of people are going to get more return out of something like a Circle from a pure squeeze perspective, but I'd be much more comfortable holding Robinhood than I would Circle as a long-term play. That said, have a look at Circle, which is up next, if you're looking to get those outsized gains. So Hood stands to benefit. There's a bit of a squeeze play happening as well. Yeah. The stock is not, I know this looks parabolic, but at the same time, since it broke away from the $50 level, it's been fairly orderly with the exception of 1 or 2 days for Robinhood. So I don't think it's going to be crazy if it breaks the trend. I feel like you're going to be able to see it close a few times underneath and then take out a support level. And it might not be worse than 10 to 12% when it does so. So I think you've got some cover here to be working this one to the long side. I know that, like I said, I was on ETH today, so I didn't trade it, but I always look it up and then pick which one I like the best. That's the way you have the group of stocks that you're watching within the space, pick the one that you like the best. Some days it'll be Robinhood, some days it'll be iBit, some days it'll be Circle, some days it'll be whatever, maybe even like a SoFi. But Robinhood, off to the races. As far as this afternoon goes, if something actually starts happening again in ETH or we get a vote, ETH is consolidating. I think that's what you want to watch. I just feel like this is leading the way more than anything. Like even this last high here in Robinhood, ETH made a fresh one. Which one would I want to trade? I'll stick with Ethereum.
Yeah, I think something I want to point out about Robinhood as well. Traded it yesterday. That 101, what was it? 101.5 area. You can see holding that level for multiple days in a row, kind of looking like that Tesla move we just talked about. And I was like, same kind of question. I was like, okay, when and if this seller steps off, what's the potential of the continuation move? Well, guess what? We saw that come in today pretty nicely as we got that break coming in right off the open with a strong push. Pullbacks into that 101.5 level. Even the market quadunk brought us into 101s, and we held relatively well. Sure, we kind of violated some of those highs, but the bid steps right back in, now taking us all the way back to day highs. So yeah, definitely buyers are in charge. A little bit of a consolidation on the way here in and around this 100 mark for that liftoff. But again, looking at a higher time frame here, you can see we've already been trending pretty strongly, not only since those April lows, but from a good chunk of last year. I see that the ultimate low coming in at $13.98 from last August, so last year August. So pretty strong stock, and that consolidation through 100 was quite nice. That continuation, we're finally seeing that continuation through that 100. Can we see 105s to 110s in the coming days? Yes, I have no idea, but the trend you guys can see is holding relatively strong. Even the strong sells that we've had along the way, well within range here on an hourly chart. So something to watch out for. Shout out to all the hood longs. Good trade.
Last but not least here, guys, Circle, the digital finance company behind USDC, getting that go-ahead from Donald Trump. So you can see the intervention revives key stablecoin bill. Circle up 22% on the day, guys.
So here we go. Now we finally get to Circle and SBET, which obviously these are the two. There's a reason why ETH is outperforming Bitcoin right now. That's because if you're not related to the stablecoin news, then you're not going. It is a pure squeeze. Now there's, can you do me a favor? Can you just, do you have the anchored from?
Yes.
Okay, so always gonna show you something with Circle in the higher time frame. Just remember that where this is bounced here is now holding an anchored VWAP from the bottom. And where this is broken, this top, was an anchored VWAP from the top, from the high. So I actually, when it broke the anchored VWAP from the top, I took a shot at it. It failed it. So to me, it was now respecting, so I got out. The second time was the charm. I took one shot at a short here. Thank goodness, why you get out, obviously. But at this point, as I've said, this is a pure squeeze play. Now that it's above the anchored from the all-time high, it's above the anchored VWAP. And now that it's broken away from there, the amount of momentum that's going to be in this, I'd say barring the vote getting, if it gets voted down, if the vote happens, I don't know when it's going to happen again. But let's just say it happens tonight. I'm not saying it will, but let's just posit that it does. That would be the kind of event that maybe gets you a pop back in to retest those teams. That's almost too deep of a pullback. So I'm thinking it's more along the lines of a 225. Someone asked me if I would swing it up here. I wouldn't personally, although I think your risk is to one of the prior, like the anchor that broke would have been about 212. So that's one level. But
Palantir.
like your real support's out here, down around the 180 level on Circle. I plan to be trading ETH this afternoon, which is also parabolic. You can also look at SBET if you happen to like it. For those that maybe you want a tighter spread or a cheaper stock, then to me you go over to ETH or you go over SPET, which is still giving you fantastic percentage gains. But the key, of course, it's all about the stable coins and ETH. This is not a Bitcoin thing right now. Bitcoin can't even break 120. That's not where you want to be. You want to be trading these others. And look, I'm not Hurt Scrambler. I 100% agree with you. SBET, 5 employees, Circle 900. At the end of the day, when you're talking about a squeeze, we're just talking about momentum. So at this moment, you can get it in on SBET. Even as I say that, though, like which one was I trading in the morning? I was trading ETH. I just feel like it's a little bit more stable. And I'm buying the dip this afternoon on ETH. I'll go back into it, look at it, hold that trend line. I got away from it early because of the Trump news. I'm not going to make that same mistake. We pull back into 25.1, I'm going to grab it. What is going on with Palantir?
Palantir is breaking day highs right now, Neil, but yeah, we can talk about that one in a bit, but 151's on the horizon on Palantir. But this is what Neil was talking about in terms of Circle. So we know about the anchored VWAP. It's a good indicator to kind of show you where the average participant is sitting. You can see this purple anchored VWAP from the opening price. It holds pretty well, so buyers still kind of in charge there. And then I got an anchored as well from the highs. Now, again, learn from some of the best, of course, right? So I saw that Brian Shannon himself had those two anchors on his chart as well. I was like, all right, you know, a little bit of confluence, a little bit of confirmation that I might be looking at things potentially the right way. But you can see how well it held over the past couple of days, and that dark red anchored being the anchored from the highs there, finally breaking out on the day. Strong confluence as well. Not only are you breaking out that anchored, looking at horizontal support and resistance, this little consolidation that we had where we basically failed to follow through on the selling below 170s, we break out that consolidation high today as well, coming in and around 215. So let's see, what was that price specifically? 215.60. Now this is an hourly chart. Let's go down to a shorter time frame, like a 3-minute, and see what that 215.60 looked like when it did finally break out here today. So 215.60. Neil, oh boy, look at that clean break. So that's in and around right here in this area. And the push up through that level with that strong volume, the pull back, holding that same area, strong confirmation, confluence, and then the step up and trending breakout of that level as well, revisiting some of the prior levels that we've been at before not so long ago, Neil. So yeah, a little bit of a failure to break down on this one below that 170 mark. Clean trend on the day. Absolutely beautiful. I'm keeping eyes on it. I didn't have the long, so shout out to anybody who took the long on Circle today, but I'm waiting for it to circle back down, maybe for a reversion to VWAP, but no sign of any sort of, you know, signals to sell or maybe any sort of capitulation, anything like that either just yet. So I'm just going to sit back and observe and let it do its thing. We might even push that 300. Who knows? That's well within range of what this stock can do. We're up $40 today off of roughly $40 off of the open. That 300 is about $60 away. So, you know, well within range. Going into the end of the week.
What we've learned is there's never any, you know, you shouldn't have any lack of imagination for how much hedgies can get into something, and humans are humans. Like just because like hedge funds are hedge funds doesn't mean that they can't average down and do all the crazy stuff that traders will do when they're in a bad spot, right? Like look at the Nick Leeson story. Some people are offside in circle, so don't have an open mind if you're momentum trading. Is all I will say. Like I'm not trying to get at people. I'm not saying hammer and YOLO long any kind of stuff like that. Just understand that it doesn't have to make sense for it to get to 300. As a matter of fact, sometimes when the less sense it makes, it'll go there. I'll get to I'm in NVIDIA and I was trying to explain in the chat. I'll just do this before we get to Palantir, which has broken another all-time high. So NVIDIA pulled back into a resistance spot right here at 170.60. When it bounced off that, I took a long. I'm trying to reload it. It's just, I got some out here, and I'm looking for it to get to the high. Right, so that's a very simple plan. It's not moving as much as anything related to crypto, or right now Palantir, which just tagged 150. So 151. All-time high in Palantir, starting to pick up volume. Another thing that double bottom, I was kind of hoping for, as you can see, a fail break of 151 and a pullback somewhere into the prior high is the plan of action for myself. That's what I'm trying to get here as PLTR goes. Like the market wants to try to take out the top the day that we had all that crazy sell-off, end of the world, the 10-year is going to hit 450 and blah, 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 because Powell's getting fired, and then he's not getting fired, and all of a sudden we're right back at the high. So the things that are squeezing higher, that's where I want to be. And as I look over, ETH is really getting away, so alternative plan of action for ETH might be, I'm just going to maybe look for this support here at 25.3. Not going to draw a new trend line. It loses here, I can always get back in at 25.10. But I want to be a part of this if we're going to continue to make another leg to the upside. Because you go to the higher time frame, which at some point I promise you I will, ETH still looks very, very good on that said higher time frame. There's a lot of names out there that I've seen people mentioning. Should you look at this trade, look at that trade, have a look at AMD. I mean, like right now, AMD is stronger than NVIDIA. They tend to flip-flop every now and then. I was short this to the high because we said we would, took some scalp trades on it, but ultimately got out. It does look stronger, but this is also that 157 that I talked about this morning where the selling started on AMD. So I don't want to be buying the highs at the supply zone. I'd love to see it bust through, and that'll be a little bit better. Roger Noonan likes Oracle. I like Oracle. I like Oracle much more as a long-term hold than usually a trading stock, but looky now, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The only thing standing in its way is now a triple top at the highs, which is that 240. So you can see it on the daily chart. One of my favorite rules is I don't like punching long into overhead resistance. It's a very simple thing because it's really easy to see. Where I would not like to, you can go long off here, but I'm never trying to take, when it's going up there, this last parabolic move up, I'm not trying to go long this last little bit as it's going right into the supply zone. That's for short setups or breakouts over. I'm going to go back over to Palantir to see why I'm not getting into this. You're reverting this, aren't you?
I'm taking stabs at it. Like I said, it's not really it hasn't shown me anything.
Oh, there's the candle.
But I'll take a couple stabs at it. There was a volume candle recently, that strong push. Again, it's one of the highest volume bars on the day, but that's coming in through the breakout. So I'm like, yeah, okay, that's not really conducive to what I'm trying to do. But taking a little feel of that 151 here as we do continue to push up a little bit higher. Yeah, I don't know if I would feel too comfortable buying all the way up here, maybe a little pullback down into prior highs. But again, it is what it is. We are already breaking out and sustaining trend. More than willing to be wrong on this one. But yeah, just taking a quick little stab.
Can I interject for a second?
Yes,
because I see something like this in the chat, and I cannot find this, Jag. Havana Woody, that is an awesome question. I hope Neil will look at that. And then I searched for you, Havana Woody, to see if you, and I couldn't find where you asked a question. So if you could please, if there's a great question, I'd love to know what it was. I just couldn't find it when I was searching for it. So just maybe repost it, everybody. And there's not going to be a fail break dip on Palantir, which is what I was looking for. But anyways, just please repost the question if you have something for us. For whatever reason, I can't find it, Havana Woody. But if somebody saw what the question was and you know what it is, just repost that for sure. We have to look, and we're talking, we're talking about individual things, and you're focused on the charts, and I look up and I can go try to read it again for sure. Justin B, this If you're trading ETH intraday, why not ETHU? Oh, this is the one we don't have, I believe. So I'm fairly certain, I don't think we have ETHU on the platform, for everyone asking. That'll be one of the, like all these ETFs, they have like 2x leveraged, and I'm sure at some point at real trading it'll get added, but right now we don't have that. So like it's, even if I wanted to, let's just say I can't execute. ETHA we have, and it does good volume. That does more volume than ETHE, so that's where I go to. But yeah, a lot of times it'll be as simple as that, and it's not always as easy as the first day a new ETF or leverage ETF comes out, real trading is going to add it. No, usually it'll give it some time, see how the volume does, and then it'll get added. Eventually, I'm sure we're going to have that. And it comes to your preference. Like you can trade like the TQs or something, which have been around for a while, and I don't mind the leverage products, but we don't have ETHU on the platform. Like next week or so, it might be there, or a month from now. Who knows? Maybe I'll put a ticket in to get it added, actually. Good point. Here at Real Trading, if you want to request something, you put a ticket in. And if nobody does, people complain about it, but then no one puts a ticket in and it doesn't get added. So I'll go ahead and put a ticket in and see if we can get that added. But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, this Palantir, again, getting stopped out through the high, like I said, perfectly fine. Market's coming in as well now, Neil. So yeah, Palantir pushing a little bit higher, 151.30s, and no sign of really slowing down as well. Yeah, I got involved in the tiny little bit of selling that I saw initially, coming back in through that 151, and I was like, all right, well, if this is a point where either we pull back a little bit or we're just going to continue to push there, and that consolidation was a nice little continuation push as well. Apple, again, holding on to just the last little bit here. It got involved in that VWAP area. Again, similar place where sellers were involved earlier on that initial flush quadunk that came into the market right here. That's coming in and around 210.80s. We get all the way back up there, just shy of 211s, and then start to pull back as well. So yeah, I liked that VWAP area hold, kind of showing me that, yeah, even though we had some strong bidding, sellers were in charge off of the open, well, not off the open, off that 212 area once again, and then kind of strong selling coming in with reference to the I guess you want to call it an event, whatever catalyst. It was Trump basically, or not Trump saying, but rumors of potential firing of Powell by the Trump administration. But yeah, that reference point is what I was looking at here. We're creeping right back up into it. 210s hold, but you can see the market also holding up pretty well as well. So what's up, Adara?
In terms of the firing of Powell, for people who actually missed all of that, or people who weren't there for the rest of it, basically Donald Trump did have a bilateral meeting today with the Prime Minister and Crown Prince of Bahrain, during which reporters pretty much exclusively asked him about whether or not he'd fire Powell. He said that he wasn't planning on firing Powell right now, though if he did, his cause would be that Powell is too late. That's why he calls him too late. That is a quote. And then also said that whoever appointed Powell, he doesn't know how Powell was appointed. Trump appointed Powell. So in case anyone missed that, Trump did address these reports at this meeting. He did say he agreed with them to an extent. He said he mentioned to Republican lawmakers yesterday that he was interested in potentially firing Powell, but he denied that he waved around a letter saying that that was Powell's resignation letter, which is what some of the reports apparently said. If you guys want to read all about the history between Powell and Trump going back several years, back to 2017, you can check this out on X at TTV Research. This is in two parts, the 45th president. So the first term of Trump, this is the second term of Trump. So yeah, you can check these out on X at TTV Research if you enjoy interesting infographic content. Back to you.
Don't be rude.
That was good.
Can I have that one too, please?
Yeah, I would like all of these. I mean, you know.
Thank you very much.
What's going on there? Oh boy. We're yeah, we got to set up some of these stream decks.
We always have to thank Adara.
I didn't hear it that time. I didn't hear it.
Thank you very much.
Oh right, because I thought I would hear it in my ear.
There it is.
Yeah, no, thank you, Adara.
His mouth. That is absolutely legitimate, and that's why we always give thanks to Adara. So look, Palantir's trying to pull back. I want to dip into the prior high here. There's a couple of ways to look at that. on a 15. You've got yesterday's top, which is right about 65 or so. And then you've got the morning high, which is a little bit lower. But I like the consolidation in here to give it to the 65. So if this dips in, then I'm going to try and get myself a little bit of a piece. For sure. William Larson, super chat. Thank you very much, William. What do we have here? Hit the like on it first. Why not? If the crypto bill passes, do you think there will be a massive sell-off or a continual takeoff? I always get confused by the whole sell the news idea. I think at this point, I'd probably bet, well, you said massive sell-off. I don't know about mass. I don't know what you mean by massive, but I would think there would be, I think it would sell because of what happened today. Like, it's the dynamic of what happened today. Like, just look at, Palantir starting to come in, but you guys can see where I want to buy this. I want to give a higher time frame and then look at something like Circle. Like, when you have this kind of, this is the bill not passing and then the breakout that they're going to vote again. When you have that kind of action, like pull up ETH, I tend to think when the reaction was this big to the upside, that now all of a sudden, if it does pass, you will have a little bit of a sell for some profit taking. Which going into the vote yesterday, we were consolidating, not breaking out, if that makes any sense. So right now we're breaking out. That makes me expect that there'll be profit taking. If we were consolidating when it passed, then I anticipate breakout. I always try to keep it as simple as possible. Like, you break out from consolidations on good news, and on parabolic moves up, you sell off. You profit take when it's already gone heavily into the move. Think about when those names got added to the index, right? Like, you run up into it, they get added to the index, and then you sell for a day or two or however long it's going to be. So that's the idea that I'm going to think. And Iltech Surgeon, when is the vote? Don't know. I do not know when the vote is. We're talking about the Genius Act bill. We know that they're going to vote again. I have not seen a timetable. Like, today was a procedural vote so that they would vote again, because that's how things work. As far as the timeline goes, some have said tonight. I see Stray Hawk saying it's 5:30 tonight. I saw somebody say that as well, but I haven't seen anything definitive, so I don't want people to think, oh, I know it's for sure at 5:30. As far as I'm concerned, Adara's going to tell me when she'll let us know, because she'll make sure that she gets the exact juice. So I'm buying back into ETH into this level here. It's about that quarter. As the market's starting to give it back, shorts are probably working there, Obi. Let's go to, we're going to the desk? No, we're not.
Yeah.
Obi.
Right, so guys, Beta Pro by Global X. Savvy Canadian traders looking to boost their exposure can now tap into the Nasdaq 100 and the S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3 times daily leveraged ETFs, featuring built-in FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves, minimizing the impact of currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bearish, these ETFs are built for active day traders ready to take on the market. Read the full disclosure in the prospectus at betapro.ca before investing. Yes, sir, Neil, this market has taken a little bit of a pullback, like a wee little bit of a pullback right now. I don't know if it's going to pull all the way back to 23,000 on the Nasdaq, or even, I don't know what reference I want to use on the ES. I'm not really looking at it as closely today, but yeah, maybe this consolidation low right here at that 62.90s area or just below as well. So let's see how much further we can pull back. We can see, again, off the open, strong supply. Again, retest, a little bit of supply stepping in here again. And I was talking to Neil about this as well a little earlier. I kind of want to talk to you guys about the SPY chart. Wow, circle's still going. Nice. So SPY chart from yesterday. Yesterday we had a pretty aggressively kind of a downtrending day while the Nasdaq chopped sideways. I remember pointing that out not only a few times yesterday, but this morning as well. You can see coming into the close, what seemed like it was a little imbalance driven. We had some strong selling, not just on the SPY, but across the board on a lot of different things. So you can see strong selling coming in into the close in and around that 623, 2370, nice little consolidation highs there as well. Right off of the open, Neil, there's a continuation that happens right off of the open as we cannot get past those prices. kind of steps back in aggressively, nice little shake and bake. And this is where that news really starts to step in. And you can see it's basically rejecting this prior day's low on that flush, and selling just steps all together right into the markets there, pulling us all the way down into 618.05. So yeah, beautiful reversion. But it's funny, it was just this morning we were talking about Palantir action seemingly looking like it's an example of a beach ball being shoved and pushed underwater unnaturally, and when that pressure lifts, you get an explosive move, or maybe even a strong grinding reversion move that kind of moves all the way back up. And guess what, Neil? That's exactly what happened on the market today, because all of that news for Trump speculatively firing Powell was all a fugazi. Straight up fugazi. And we saw it happen. Bids were getting just pounded into, and when that sell pressure stepped off, when he was like, LOL JK, I don't know if I'm gonna do that, boom, 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 all the way back up, kind of reverting back to the mean. You know, you can argue that, you know, this is mispriced, it was mispriced, and we reverted back to the mean. However you want to take a look at it. But what a coincidence, Neil, that would happen on the markets themselves after we mentioned that Palantir felt a lot like that off of the open.
Yeah, what an absolute coincidence that you have, when you have things that are getting leaned on to the downside heavily, and then all of a sudden you get some more pressure from some news, and then you release it ends up being fugazi, and the market goes back up. Because the truth of the matter is, Obi, it's not as if this ever happens on a regular basis, where you will see weird selling pressure to hold things down, and then you get a piece of news that shakes people out at the bottom, and then it goes higher. It's like the old scam. So this is, I'll give you something that the market makers used to do. So, and this is something that used to happen back in the day, along those types of lines. Imagine a scenario where like somebody wanted to buy, or someone had a big whale had call it like maybe a 200,000-300,000 long position, let's say in NVIDIA, right? Way too big for the book, but they're whaling it out. So it's going ham, whatever on the tape. But let's imagine that 171 is a key price area of support. So what do you think this big shot would do with their 300,000 shares? Well, there's only size for a few thousand here or there. Each one of these, 100 means just 100 shares. So you only a few thousand shares at a time. So out of that 300,000, they might slam it for 30, 40,000 shares, maybe 50,000 shares, a portion of their position, driving it well underneath the 171, because it's under 171, let's just say that's where the big support area is, and that stops the short-term traders out, right? And they're like, oh my goodness, it's stopping everybody out on 171, let's go short. And so then everyone starts shorting 170.70, 170.80, all that stuff underneath the 171. What do you think they do next? Instead, now they're gonna slam it right back up. They just sold 30, 40,000 shares for like 100,000. And now they have a bigger position than they did before, and they've rinsed everybody out at the bottom, and they've got a bunch of people short in the same moment, and then it goes up. So that's something that you probably still see it today. I think when it used to happen, it was a little more obvious back in the day, but it's something you have to be worried about. If you ever heard the term, be careful shorting the low of the day, that's one of the maneuvers that gets traders or day traders, scared is not the right word, but wary of shorting the low of the day because of that exact dynamic. Something's being pressed down, and then somebody's going to put a massive sell that cracks those stops, but it's actually someone that might be long that's just looking for the reversal, and then they create the move in some ways themselves. Anyways, back to trading for a quick little second, because sometimes you get lost in the sauce talking shop. Palantir dip into, what is with this thing? Phil.
It's into the moving average there.
There we go. I was sitting at 12s. I'm like, but it's stopping at 10, so I just offered 10. Anyways, it dips right into this prior, whatever you want to call it, 15.8. Dips right into it, bounces off relatively cleanly. I got some at like in the low 90s, and then I added to it at 99. So my average price would have been like in the mid 90s. And now it's starting to head back up. Just got some out of 10s. I want to see if this can get back into the high of the day for us here on PLTR. Manuel Palma saying SMR is near a breakout. Wasn't New Scale already? Oh, never mind. SRM is breaking out. SMR, SMR is nearing a breakout of the high of the day. This is going to be so easy to mix them up. SRM was the stock, yeah, that's the one that was going a little more. Ooh, that gave it back up.
I gave
quick.
it right back. Yeah.
Oh, yuck. Oh, remember what I was that's like the reverse of that move, where somebody could be shorting this and they can, so here's the thing, like in a true squeeze, right, people breaking out the top are shorts, panic covering.
Yep.
Now imagine a whale was short and they caused the break of the high, so they know there isn't anybody real except for them that caused a tiny break of the high of the day. And once people start buying the long on that break, what do you think they do? They use them to get more short, and then it dumps. This is, you have to have your own, like, this is why I like to get out of breakouts really quickly if they don't work, because of that dynamic. And then you just play like the bounce, or I call it the failed break dip buy. Sean has a different name for it, but it's all kind of the same thing. Like it fails the breakout, and you play the dip on that fail break.
Yeah.
It might look something like this, although like imagine this was the high of the day, fail break, not really going, someone slamming it back down every time it tries to go. You just play the dip after and then run into it as it goes further. And it's not always going to work like that. Soothing nature, remember, if you do that, sometimes it's just going to break, kind of go really small to the downside, like here, and then go again. And if you're waiting for that move, well, unfortunately, you might miss out altogether. I've been in that story before. All right, I'm losing patience with AMD or NVIDIA here. NVIDIA is it's just barely moving at this point, so if it can't really get past 170, 120, power hour starting, I might just take this one out.
Yeah, no, Neil, I think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you're a big enough player, you can market price action to create your own entry and exit liquidity.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that sounds about right. We see that kind of happening
right
as well. So yeah, no. Again, one day, maybe, hopefully, I don't know how that game is played, but we shall see what will happen here. But 151 still holding that moving average as well, holding that pullback through that push through 151. You can see. I don't know which moving average this is. I think it is a 9. Okay, it's a 9 EMA here on my chart. This light line here, and you can see how cleanly it's holding this. And we were kind of talking about this, I think it was last week or earlier this week. I can't remember, but we were talking about how to use certain trends and algos or whatever. You can see that every time this trend line is respecting, this indicator is respecting really well right now. And even on that strong push and pullback into it, we're finding a little bit of a base on top of that moving average here. So yeah, the average kind of holding it down at that, what is that, 151s right now. So holding it pretty well. So let's see if that kind of cracks. And when it does, potentially people I want to start looking for, sellers potentially trying to come in and being like, all right, well, if this is my definition of trend, which is a great definition in this current moment because it's holding it so well, once that definition breaks, then do they do what I'm looking for is the question there as well. So a little bit of confluence and some confirmation maybe coming in with that trend line break. But again, you can see there's been times in the past, even during the day, where it's held it pretty well, cracks it, pulls down, holds a higher low, and then pulls up again. So as long as it's working, I think it's good to keep an eye on it. And when it stops working, of course, you got to understand that it may not be worth as much of a significance as it currently was, as it was prior when it was holding that as well. So again, 151's holding on Palantir right now. Again, all-time highs. Market's pushing up as well. You can see the spider pushing pretty nicely also. So the question becomes, I'm asking, which one of these Mag 7s is the one that's really pushing here? We see Tesla pushing its high a day. Oh boy, Microsoft also pushing high a day. It's about to break its high a day at 506.30, is currently trading at 506.19s on Softy. Amazon as well. Oh boy, that thing got sold off pretty aggressively. And here we go, open of the last hour, power hour, moment of truth. here going into the end of the day. Do we take a little bit of a breather, or do we use that all-day reversion to break out of our highs here? The spider, like I said, already doing that. Let's see if some of these constituents will follow in step. Some of these names that do have strong betas, let's see if they will follow in step as well. Palantir, I'm looking at you.
Well,
there goes the 151, as I said.
It just came right back to that 151, so it's put up or shut up time. I was going to talk about SBET, but I just reloaded at this level. It's going to be a relatively tight stop because I'm giving it to that 80. But if it's giving you, like a 15 penny move to first target, then that's what I want to risk. Under here, I won't let it get past that pullback, but it's already starting to gravitate back up. And last time there was a seller right in that range, so we'll just go and take some out in the same spot again. But where's the continuation? Where's the high of the day break? That's what I want to see on Palantir. The other thing is only simple whales. Time to go long now. Which symbol? We're looking at a lot of different symbols. Right now, Palantir is the only thing at this particular, like right around 150.90 is where I'm trying to grab it each time. Someone had mentioned SBET. Ooh, if you were talking about SBET, it's too late to tell you, but same principle, right? Breakout, there's the prior low, so when it fails at 39, just kind of wait for it to get back into the prior highs. I might have just said prior low. I mean prior high, wait for it to pull back in, there's your bottoming tail, there's your entry. Would I chase it 50 cents? It's $30 stock, it's a full percentage, probably not. But that's what you look for. That's why we go over like the strategy of the why, because the exact same principles that you use to get the dip buy on trend in Palantir, you use that in SBET, and then go see if it works for you. I see Drago saying don't short SBET or get burned. You know what's hilarious? I don't even know if we have locates on SBET. I had never any intention of shorting anything ETH related today.
I asked for them one time with Sean, and they were pretty expensive, but that was a while ago, for the record.
Yeah, we don't have them. Not that I'm going to get them, but I'm going to price it out.
That's always I like kind of doing that as well. Yeah, because it can give you I guess a feel for demand for the shorts.
Because there was that stock. Was it yesterday or this? Might have been yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
It was one that was like. It was under $20, the
$2
stock,
a share.
and it was $2 a share for locates. It was a $16 stock that you had to pay $2 per share.
Yeah, but I think that was like one of the ones.
I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah,
like that.
It came from like $2 though, right? So like you're expecting to make more than $2 a share on that. What stock was that, and what is it doing right now? That's another question that I want to ask.
How much you want to bet?
It's all the way back down. Yeah.
That's exactly how it usually works.
I don't know.
When it's that expensive,
it wasn't criminal. Was it criminal? The CRML maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Sure. SBET that's so cheap that it's dangerous. SBET is 0.26 per share. 0.26 cents per share on SBET. Like 100 shares cost a quarter. Like when I say that's dangerous, it just means that like a day trader, oh my goodness, it's costing me nothing for the locates. I'll grab them because it's not really costing me anything. And then when you have them, you make up excuses to use them, which you should absolutely never do as a trader. Sometimes you want it to, I'm not saying you want it to cost more, but sometimes you kind of do. That's dangerous. There's probably a lot of people who thought they could catch the top on this. They keep getting blown out because it's so cheap for them to get in and get out. When it's HKD and it costs a ridiculous amount to get the locates, well, then no one's really taking them at a firm like ours, for sure. Let's go over to Adair. We've got more updates. Got to keep our ear to the ground.
I'm just letting you, just a quick update here in these crypto-related bills. I'm looking, apparently they're going to be voted on at 4 p.m. I'm just seeing this according to Politico, but this is constantly updating, of course. So that says that there's going to be a hearing with the Rules Committee to start the process. So not that the vote necessarily will be right at 4, but they'll be starting the process at 4. The vote yesterday was at 5 p.m., or at least the second round, just for a little bit of context. I think it's important to contextualize. I talked about this fairly extensively yesterday, but I want to provide a bit more detail. One of the biggest things is the packaging of these bills. That was stated as the reason, both by reporters and by the Congress people involved. That was the reason they could not get this bill passed, or at least the next motion of it passed yesterday. As mentioned earlier, they did get that part through earlier today. So basically what happened was apparently there were 13 Republican lawmakers pulling their support because of how the bills were bundled. Basically, they didn't want to vote the Genius Act through first unless there was a provision in the Genius Act that would ban central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. Now, there is a separate bill on CBDCs, but the issue is Donald Trump apparently wants the Genius Act bill pushed first. Now, Congress doesn't want to push through the Genius Act first unless there is a CBDC portion or they get that CBDC bill in altogether. So that's really the issue here. These central bank digital currencies, that's basically whether or not the Fed can issue digital currencies there. Back to you.
There's some, the Fed digital currencies, there's something to be said about concerns for privacy, I think, when you have like a Fed digital. Anyways, I think it's another debate. I saw a few people talking about it in the midday and was kind of inclined to agree because it's just going to make things a heck of a lot easier. Like if you owe the government and they can basically, it's one thing to take money out of your account, let's just say. It's another thing to prevent you from being able to make purchases until you pay something. You know what I mean? And I think that's the scary aspect. But anyways, that's a different story. Let's go over to something else. I just lost my train of thought, sort of thinking about that out loud and what I was going to say about that. Not to get everyone, because sometimes we'll go and be a little bit political. I'm just trying to give my opinion and nobody at me here. There was something I was going to get to that I promise you, it wasn't Palantir, but Palantir just broke the high, so it's now got my attention. It was something else. I'll think of it. Anyway, so Palantir breaking the high of the day. We'll look for maybe another area for a dip buy if it does make that continuation play. I'm just thinking every dollar and every half dollar at this point on PLTR. I want to see it go clean through this top, close above it, and then we'll look for another leg up as it just continues to go higher and higher. Palantir's a beast. There's nothing to look at on the daily chart. Like usually, you might point to some obvious levels. What I am eyeballing from a higher time frame, won't happen today, is the top of this channel on Palantir. So since about this May dip, you've had a very distinct bottom and top channel in Palantir. I think once it hits the top of this channel is the next time I'll be thinking Palantir short, coming into a day. So it could get there tomorrow or later on, but it's just a daily chart, and I've just made a bit of a channel that's sort of obvious to see when you put the lines on it. That's when I'm going to be thinking top on Palantir. Not today, but certainly a little bit later. Guys, let me know what else you guys are watching. Fiddleback, yeah, Palantir's PE is ridiculous, 16 times that of NVIDIA. But a lot of companies, if you think about where it is in terms of it going parabolic, actually I should have stayed on that daily chart. If you think about where this is in terms of it going parabolic, and this is only since it went to the Nasdaq, I guess I need to look at a weekly chart. Lots of things had ridiculous. How long was Tesla's PE ridiculous before it grew into it? Into an extent, it isn't always reasonable. Amazon was the same story as a growth story. So yeah, there's going to be, there will be another moment like this where Palantir drops almost in half. Of course there will. Anything that has that kind of valuation, when it does drop, the drops are going to be very, very deep. But at this point, what are we talking about? 110? That a reasonable area? 110 to 120? Right now it's in breakout mode. So as a day trader, find the longs and just keep working it. In the long term, no one ever went broke taking profit is something I like to think about. And why can't it close above the high? There's another topping tail candle. I should be exiting and waiting for the next leg. If it only wants to give me a scalp trade, then I should be taking that.
Yes, sir. So I'm trying to get involved with this. I get stopped out a little bit in this consolidation again. But what's interesting to me here is Apple continues to hold its VWAP, so more of the same for what it was doing a little bit earlier today. Here, let's see if that can kind of come into fruition here. Yeah, Palantir really kind of winding up in the upper section of its price range on the day here. 51.41s are day highs right now. Let's see if we can kind of take a little bit of a pullback through that 151. I mean, that's what I'm looking for. But again, I know I'm counter trending because this is a very, very clear uptrend, right? You can see that it's holding the moving averages there as well. I like that little, short-term, shorter-term, quick lick grab of that prior high as well. Market's taking a little bit of a breather, but again, if this is going to hold, that trend as well, I think that's fine. Again, I got to be a little bit more nimble, maybe churning it out, letting it work, and then if it does start to come into fruition, then we can start, just taking it a little bit more aggressively as well. Again, this is nowhere near confirmation of potential backside on this short-term move that we've seen, right? Not backside for Palantir. That's pretty sure I don't know when that will come in. But I'm just talking about from a much shorter term intraday kind of move there on Palantir. So we'll see how that one works out here. Apple still holding as well. But yeah, throw it in the chat. What are you guys trading in terms of the chip basket? Some of these stocks are pretty strong on the day, looking distinctly different than some of the others. And oh boy, I know Neil's definitely going to be, wanting to see this as well. And we were talking about AMD a little bit in the morning, and I was just like, yeah, there's a few potential things that I'm looking for here on AMD. One was the continuation of some of that step down selling that we were seeing through this bit of a flat bottom break, roughly flat bottom right here. But you can see just chop, chop, chop. Sure, sellers were there. We have lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. So if you were getting involved here, the short worked out nicely. But take a look at this. Another thing that I told Neil, I was like, all right, well, what if we start to break some of these lower highs from yesterday? And that was kind of defined off of the opening range. So we can kind of quickly go in and throw in, let's say, a horizontal line right here. Kind of showing us that, yeah, this is kind of that area where in the morning session, we could not really get past this high. You can argue that it was this high as well, around 156s, whatever you want to call it, 156, 156.40. The point is that we broke this intraday downtrend that AMD was having. Neil, I don't know if you've seen AMD, but take a look at this kind of a structure break that AMD had. Once it did break out with volume, there's your confirmation. When that trend breaks with a little bit of volume that wasn't really there before, and then it holds and sustains that trend once again, I think that is a little bit of confirmation for continuation. And then, of course, you throw on some moving averages or maybe some trend lines as well. You can see that it's holding trend quite well going into the last few minutes of the day, last 40 minutes of the day, to say the least. But yeah, AMD, very, very strong. Can it get back up to that prior day high at that 158.67? I have no idea, but currently trading at just about, what, 30, 40 pennies below those highs. 67 highs? Yeah, okay, so roughly about 50 pennies below that high of day from yesterday. And oh boy, we're really starting to kind of ramp up here as well on AMD, Neil. So, oh boy, a little bit of a missed push on that one. Nice reversion happening there as well. So yeah, I kind of like reversions. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I do actually like bringing things back to the mean. Huh? You have not? You didn't notice?
No, you do? You like reversions? No, but I like them too. I love reversions. As a trader, it can be the easiest. Like there's two really simple signals, and that can be support and resistance and like a mean reversion or a trend break, right? Because the more obvious the trend, the easier it is to identify the break. And then the other one is the breakout, right? So, oh my goodness, like the NVIDIA, someone asked me, what am I doing with NVIDIA as AMD goes? I'm gonna see if I can get a reload. Now the bid's starting to come back into NVIDIA. I'm trying to get the reload here. Like breakouts are obvious because you can see the resistance. So that's a resistance level, there's a breakout. Trend breaks, they can not always be obvious, but where's my drawing tool? Like a trend break can be like, there's your downward trend, there's your trend break. This one is a little too parabolic. To get this trend break, you probably need a different time frame instead of a 3-minute there. But yeah, that's what you look for. Or I could have this trade as the VWAP trade, that didn't work. Like I try to keep things relatively simple. I love mean reversion. You just have to be very careful with how you approach it. And I'll use the best example I can think of today, which would be Circle. Don't marry yourself to trend breaks. Circle broke the trend. Like this is an all-day trend on a stock which is up that much. VWAP sat at the time almost $10, like $8 to $10 is the range I'm looking for that to revert back to. I mean, that's a gorgeous setup. But what you don't see after it breaks the trend is me hanging on to it until it gets back above. As a matter of fact, the tape was so strong, I'm pretty sure I stopped out early on this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I like the setup, but I wasn't even willing to give it like the regular risk. That's how strong the stupid thing was. So yeah, you can like it. You can like a trend reversal trade, but don't get yourself, you know, destroyed. Like once it breaks here, like I'm not, oh, well, I'm going to short it here because I was short on the trend break. No, you have an idea. It happens. You execute. It doesn't work. You get the heck out of Dodge. Go long or don't trade it at all. Like, that's the way I would look at those for sure. NVIDIA, I did get that reload. Pretty much where we had it before, just looking for, again, some continuation. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did say Palantir, I think I said this. I hope I did. Topping tail, if it's only going to be a scalp trade underneath 151, then that's what we're going to take. Couldn't break through. Like there's your topping tail candle through the high on the 3-minute. Kind of a lack of oomph on that move. And if you're wondering what ETH is doing, well, all of a sudden, not a heck of a lot. Like it dipped into the prior high, and this is how slowly it's coming back in. Disappointing because it was going much more rapidly earlier. That's, at least for now, it seems like it wants to try to get up there. But the market might be giving it back, so let's be a little bit careful. I jumped out. Did we get out? Did I get out the... Oh, that's interesting. We might have got... I think I got out the exact moment you got in.
Yeah, I saw that pull back in. So we kind of licked that prior high there. You see that candle?
That's.
So I saw that, and as soon as I saw that, that's the candle I'm getting in on because I'm like, yes.
How did I not notice?
I like that. I mean, it's a strong reason to sell. I don't know if that's going to be the top, but I know I want to. If it's going to do that, I want to take it back to the trend where the buyers are actually holding it, right? So yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. But no real kind of break in that trend just yet, as we're still holding that moving average, and the market is still holding near its highs. But this current 15-minute candle, the way it's printing, Neil, with about 12 minutes and 30 seconds left for it to finish printing, yeah, kind of coming in with that. Oh boy, don't tell me that. I did not look at that stop.
No, you were first, by the way. I just double checked.
What's that?
I think you got short, and I got a slightly worse price by 1 cent.
I can check my time.
So you must have been faster. Your entry into the short was faster than my one. But sometimes that happens, right? Like if you're looking short and you're at a key point.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I was waiting there, trigger fingers ready.
Yeah.
Like I was waiting there, trigger fingers ready. You know, I already had it short a couple more times before that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm stopping out here because I'm like, so you see what I did here? I was like, I saw it building up once again, and I'm like, I took a relatively break even out on this. And then the next candle, literally the next candle where I got out of the short, it pushes because I'm like, I see the strength, and I'm like, all right, this is going to go through the high. I don't need to let it go through the high to tell me that it's going to go through the high. That pressure is already building up, and as soon as that pressure comes in, it gets slammed right back through those 40s. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a quick little scalp. But again, this is just this is just a very micro scale kind of action. You can see the bigger picture move is very much still to the upside here, and we could still rip going into the close. It's less than 30 pennies away, the highs, so well within range. Not really looking for that bigger picture move right now, just trying to take scalps off of a move that I guess I missed a little bit there. So just taking some reversions to the mean. You can see the market also maybe potentially starting to get a little bit of a ramp up here. So I'm looking at, yeah, we talked about that AMD. What's that?
I have to hit. Ooh. I went to the bathroom. You might have seen I went to the bathroom, and I actually ran into one of the algo traders, and all he said was Rocket Lab.
I think I know who. There's only one of them who's been talking about it.
Rocket Lab.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, of course. But it's been good. It's been really good.
That's why I hit the one to the moon, because insert pun here, it should be relatively obvious. What a crazy, crazy runner this has been. Obviously, the short float is a little bit of the story for Rocket Lab, but the continuation. How many stocks we look at today where it was consolidation and then go. Like you had a pause yesterday and then you went higher. In this particular case, it hasn't stopped. If anything, 1, 2, 3. I'm a little bit wary because you get to 3 days. If it gaps up again, I'd be a little bit worried short term because sometimes you get that gap up after the 3, and that's the pullback day. But it's very, very systematically strong. I always prefer to set up a consolidation break when something is stair-stepping like this as opposed to this tricky day on Rocket Labs. But I think it's tricky to ever buy the top. So the best way to approach that is allow it to give you something simplistic to join the trend. Like in the morning, when all that chop is happening, you know where the prior high is. Once it starts looking a little bit like this candle actually on the 15 would be the one. Like it's an chop, 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 chop. This candle is obvious. There's your bottoming tail candle. Now you're looking for the long above the supply zone at 46 where it was chopping around. Let me just go back over to NVIDIA, which we're going to go to Adara. Yeah, this one's starting to work its way back up, but this is a scalp trade. I mean, it's only going 40, 50 pennies in this range, so that's what I'm going to try and take here. Let's go to the desk. Adara, what do you have for us?
Benign RCAT, Red Cat Holdings. This is a name that gets a fair amount of retail attention, and they have a catalyst here. Department of Defense. I guess they have a news segment called DoD News. Anyways, they just published here, I guess, an article saying that the Pentagon is going to be increasing low-cost drone production in the U.S. We know they've previously announced similar efforts, but either way, RCAT, nice breakout here into high of day on this drone name. Back to you.
Oh yeah, that one's definitely flying to the upside there. And I think when you say drone names, I didn't even know RCAT was one of those. But the first stock that shows up in my head, that comes to mind, when people say drones, is UAVS. Now, I don't know if this one's still moving around with the same kind of vigor that it used to, but yeah, no, see, lackluster, not any real volume coming in. You can see the chart basically looking like a crumble. So I guess that whole drone volume has, flown to another location there, or flocked to another location, however you want to call it. But yeah, RCAT seeming like that is the place to be here. Red Cat Holdings, oh boy, yeah. This one we can just compare some of that volume as well. So current day's volume is at 11 million, almost 11.2 million shares traded here on RCAT. So that's a decent chunk of dollar volume going into this stock here. Strong kind of a push here going into the end of the day. A little bit of a squeezing action as well here. So yeah, let's take a look at what the super chat is here. We just got that in. Thank you, Andre, for that. David, thank you for the super chat saying that after terrible experience with UAL to EDM, very tempted to revenge swing trade earnings. Oh boy, we kind of talked about this yesterday as well, Neil. I don't know if you want to say anything about that. There's that Palantir potentially coming back in through that 151 now.
Everybody has, if you've traded long enough, you've made a revenge trade. You've done it. We're all human beings, for sure. I tend to think, like, my first thought usually is at a bare minimum, if I have something that gets me a little bit emotional, I'm not the most emotional person when it comes to trading, but if I do get in that spot, then the last place I want to make the next big bet is on the same thing the mistake I made. And that's where becoming very systematic has to come into it. And that's why you see, like, this is the reason I'm getting in, this is the setup I'm looking for. Because that whole process of explaining what the trade is and why I'm doing it, if I'm ever putting in a trade that I'm not doing that, I know instantly. Because I can explain to you, this is the reason I'm looking at this. This is why I like this price area. This is my execution strategy, and this is where my stop is. Again, if you can't do all of that really succinctly, then I'm not sure what it is that you're doing. So again, I would be cautious with it. All of that said, I wanted to go to a daily chart, not a weekly here. If you do look at the airlines, you can't really argue that it's in the midst of a breakout on the daily. So technically speaking, like if this is a setup that you do where you've made the bottom, you've consolidated, you've already had some good news, you've already had some good plays in the space, and then you break out this resistance, you consolidate in there, and you want to go long into the prior high or the 50 period or something. If that is a setup that you do, then it shouldn't matter what has happened before. That's your setup, you take the setup. Just make sure that that's the case. You know, David, and I know, David, you've been around a while, so I know I've heard you talk about your trades before, and I know you have a systematic approach. That's why I'm kind of answering it that way. So just make sure it's that, which is absolutely fine that you can have a systematic approach, because you don't want to be breaking your rules, especially in something that just burned you, just more apt to make a gigantic mistake. Where's my next fill? And AMD is on an absolute tear. So we're getting to the high on ETH. I want to see if we can break out that top. It is getting close to 330. At the end of the day, we have to be flat our positions as day traders. So, you know, you start thinking about tighter stops. The other thing I want to consider, remember we were talking about imbalances potentially for the end of the day today?
Oh, yeah.
There was a big, when you have a big market move that affected rates, there was a stupid move in, well, I mean, a lot of things moved. But if I look specifically at GLD, like GLD went from doing absolutely nothing to going absolutely ham when there was the Trump firing Powell talk. So when I see that kind of action, I'm going to be on the lookout for some ETFs potentially that could have imbalances at 350. When you get that kind of volatility, you never know. Maybe somebody got themselves into something they didn't have the liquidity to get out of, and then you see some bigger numbers at the end of the day. The type of action that we saw earlier today can lend itself to that. So usually we just look at like, hey, what's the imbalance on NVIDIA or whatever. But if I see something big on GDX or, I don't know, TLT, it might be worth paying a little closer attention to it. So that'll be about 20 minutes from now. Drago saying Hood new high of the day. I, for one, am surprised. Hood making a new high of the day or testing the high of the day right when ETH is testing the high of the day. I bet you SBET is making a new high as we speak. And no, it's not. See, that's always interesting to me. Like, generally been following along with ETH, and right now it doesn't seem to be. So yeah, be cautious with this. Like ETH got back to the top, at least a little bit to the top. You do see some strength in Robinhood there, getting back into its high, and you're making a lower high here on SBET. I'm willing to just, yeah, it still hasn't. If you go with the day-long trend, it's still holding it. But if you go with the trend from the test of the high here, so it broke the trend. This is one thing you like, I know, Obi. There's your rough day-long trend here. There's your initial trend break. So what I shouldn't say a lot of traders, actually you're the only one I know that does this. I usually just pick one and trade that. Either I'm taking this break or I'm taking that break of the trend line. Obi, which I'm hopefully speaking well for you here, you'll take this one, but then you like to add when it breaks a second trend into VWAP.
I mean, that's how I kind of started it. But again, this whole idea is starting to evolve now as well, because I'm like, yeah, sometimes I feel like things that happen in the market, sometimes they happen so cleanly, and then you take them over and over again, and they don't happen so cleanly anymore. But the concept of that reversion still exists, right? If something is so overextended. Now, sometimes you get lucky, but yeah, when it's so clean like that and it breaks and it just goes, but best believe that's not always how it happens. But yeah, I like to take a look at it initially on that break, and when that larger time frame trend breaks as well, yeah, that's more confluence. That's more what do you call confirmation as well. So it's like, I know people who are getting in on that confirmation and not being able to give it the space as well. So it's like that's kind of what I mean about like the evolution of that strategy. I'm just like, okay, this works sometimes, but there are definitely times where it does not work well at all, and trying to figure out like, you know, what is the best execution method. But I do like it when the trend breaks, whatever you're using to define that trend, when that trend breaks, and then confluencing that with higher time frame trend and see if it's like a domino effect. If you have one trend breaking into the next trend breaking into the next trend breaking, then you can kind of get a full-on turnover. And you can see that happening on things that did turn over, like, for example, Circle, right? We can talk about Circle like that, right?
Not to interrupt.
Yes.
But AMD, ooh, I didn't draw this very well. AMD is an example of holding the trend.
That trend,
It's
yeah.
crazy as I was only short, scalp, out, right? So it's one of those types of days. Like there were small muted moves that worked on AMD. Nothing big worked to the short side, but you know, it's like you win one, you lose one, you win one, you lose one. But if you go long, you only win. So it's obvious when you go for mean reversion hunting, a lot of times the way I like to frame it is you can get away with winning because you happen to catch a few like of the down moves. But overall, it's like, okay, well, any one long makes up for it. AMD is flying. There's no specific news, but we was asked a question about yesterday about like what's like swing opportunities. And one of the things we were talking about was specifically AMD in the midst of this breakout. This just seems very, very, it's a catch-up trade to NVIDIA, where NVIDIA is making new highs and demand is going up, and NVIDIA selling in China is good news for the space, and that's good for AMD, and a rising tide, all that kind of stuff. And this just seems very technical. I still don't see a good reason why NVIDIA in the short term, AMD in the short term isn't headed to 170. At 330, would I punch long at the high of the day? No, I probably wouldn't. And Mr. Henry, I might have said that wrong. A rising tide raises all ships. I said lifts all ships.
Lifts, yeah. I thought it was like lifts.
Does it matter? It's the same thing. You could be right. I don't know. I don't even know who said that first. And I do a fair amount of reading, and I have no idea who to attribute that quote to.
I don't know if
but I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
No, I know.
But this is actually, now it's starting to squeeze, okay? So now it's actually starting to squeeze at the end of the day.
Through that prior day high.
Right through the prior day high. There's not even a good trend to work off of. I'm just going to get rid of these because they're mucking up my chart. I don't actually plan to trade off of them. Let's go to Adara at the desk. AMD, go, go, go.
Keep an eye here on the market. Donald Trump talking right now. He's been talking for a bit at this bill signing ceremony, but one thing he did say as of note, apparently he's just reiterating the 20% penalty tariff on China for fentanyl. So yeah, just Trump speaking right now, always worth being aware of. Back to you.
Blowing the whistle on the penalty.
Yes.
All right, so that 151 holding pretty well. We did kind of break trend, but just watching that 151. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to cover majority of that and let that kind of do its thing going into the close. It is 3:30, so that last 30-minute candle just beginning to print here, 2 minutes in, and oh boy, what stock is that? Oh, that's Wells Fargo. Okay, hello. Let's take a quick look at that one right here. If I can just pull up the chart, so WFC. So you can see here, pretty strong push into that high a day. Again, we saw strong selling coming in yesterday as well off of the earnings report. So today is technically earnings day 2. Nice little hold of the lows and maybe some prior levels here as well going into the close. We're getting a little bit of a reversion off of some of those levels as well right now. Holding that bid from yesterday. Yesterday's low coming in at 77.74. Today we got to 78.2. Nice little grind all the way up, breaking through that high of day currently. But yeah, Neil, I'm seeing that AMD is not the only one that's attempting a push here. So take a look at SMH. Now, of course, AMD, one of the constituents, but SMH pretty strong as well, breaking through its day high as well. You can see that beautiful reversion coming in, reclaiming that VWAP, stair-stepping up onto prior structures here as well, giving us a clean move to the upside. ARM as well, oh boy. I saw the opening 15-minute candle on this one, Neil, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know if we're going to get back up there, but guess what? We definitely can. And slow grind up took all day, but we did pretty much go in and push through some of those highs. So it's like, what I'm starting to think is like if somebody normally, if I saw maybe a candle like this, I would say a few years ago, I would be like, all right, I like this to be like, okay, good chance that this might be the high a day, right? Pretty good chance. We're seeing this more often, especially over the past like a few months, where you have aggressive sell top wicks or whatever kind of candle you want to call it. Selling pressure is very apparent on a higher time frame candle, and it takes all day or maybe some extended amount of time, but we take a slow grind right back up and then clip that high or even push through it. So interesting action nonetheless here on ARM. You can see that SMH kind of pushing as well. Intel was the other one, Neil. Oh boy, what a bounce on this one off of its lows. But bigger picture, kind of been trending down as well off of this 24 high from last week. So yeah, a little bit of a push towards or back into the consolidation lows that we've been seeing here on Intel. So yeah, the chip sector not really doing anything too crazy as of right now. And now again, NVIDIA, we were looking for that push yesterday. I came in today and I was like, maybe we get that push on NVIDIA today. But guess what? Not really there. We hold the same lows as yesterday, hold the same lows as yesterday. Nice little reversion back to the high. So it seems like we're currently still trading within the range of this gap up off of the catalyst that we had coming in the pre-market or after hours yesterday, with the China being able to buy all the chips and not really have any sort of the restrictions that were put on them earlier, which we did see drop the stock earlier on this year. So a little bit of a reversion of that one, maybe a bigger picture taco I'm looking at. You know,
it's not sometimes when Wednesday.
It's that kind of price action is also kind of like a taco. Right?
Well, look, if whether it's a taco pattern or a bull flag or a pennant or I don't know, maybe you're looking for some kind of a candlestick pattern, you're going to need a quality charting platform out there so you can find those signals. And eSignals got the first month free, so you can take a shot with them. Again, we always talk about how intuitive it is, how reliable the data is, your ability to hook up to multiple brokers so you can trade directly or automate your trades. If that's your cup of tea, maybe get more out of it by trading more symbols because you have automate your strategy. You can do that. You've got level 2 access. You can have the imbalance locator, add whatever entitlements you want, and nothing more, nothing less, because it's an entitlement-based platform. Everything all in one, easy to use, and certainly be with the month free, give it a shot. Try it out. Scan the QR code you see out in front of you. Maybe you find something on a scanner when looking at your basket of chip stocks, because I'm saying that rising, now all of a sudden the thing in the bottom, which thank you guys for putting out there, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm pretty sure it was ships, but apparently that hasn't been applying to Marvell. All that said, Marvell bouncing off the 50 period, this looks like a long. I'm not talking about the day trade. It's 37, and there it is. Lifts all boats. I've literally never heard someone say all boats. It's always been all ships. I always thought it was all ships, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But down 2%, and the weakest of the chip names today, I haven't looked at Intel, so if Intel's down worse, Intel doesn't count because Intel's Intel. But bouncing off the 50 today, Marvell looks pretty solid here for a nice little, there's your pullback right into the 50, come right back in. It's breaking out again. I think this can be a nice little constructive long tomorrow, maybe even like a swing to the low. And the other thing about buying close, if you're swing trading or whatever it might be, there's lots of studies out there that have shown that if you're looking for any longer duration trade, maybe not short-term swing, but certainly longer-term swing trades or buying in your long-term personal account, statistically speaking, buying the close is better than buying the open because there's a large portion of gains that happen in the overnight market in bullish markets. You tend to gap up a heck of a lot. So buying closes often, because a lot of people I know, people like to buy the open. They're like, oh, I'm looking at the stock today. I'm buying my swing or I'm buying for the long term at the open when something happens. A lot of times, if you like it, you don't always want to wait for the next open to buy. You can buy it at the close the day before. Think of what it would have been like. Remember when I was mentioning in the afternoon about how I wanted to get into MP? It was literally that day. I'm like, oh, I like this dip on MP into the prior high. What happened when, I didn't know news was gonna happen, but that's sort of the benefit of it. If you think it's a long, sometimes you are better off when it tests this bottom and holds it, buying the close as opposed to, I mean, I guess the next day, that's not really the open because it gapped higher, trust me. You couldn't have had that price. Let's go to Mr. Henry L. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the taps today on the low caps. All day, every day. all you have to do is ask. And if anyone wonders what Mr. Henry is talking about, simply when a stock halts, and there's nothing halted. Is anything halted right now? No, there's nothing halted right. Not that I can see. If a stock is halted, like I don't know even what's halted a bunch of times today, but if a stock does halt, then we can see something called the theoretical auction price. It'll show up here. Like if something was halted, you'd see it on the imbalance locator, and then here would be the theoretical auction price, which simply says if at this current moment it was to open up, this is the price it would open at based on the net order imbalance. That's the market on open and the market on limit on open orders and all that kind of stuff that are going into it. And we can just tell you this is what the price is. It can be informative. Oh, NVIDIA. It can be informative to know is the stock indicating it's going to gap way higher, way lower, or at the money if you're sitting in position on one of those small cap runners. Because a lot of times, if it's gapping way higher, you might not want to have a market on open order, or maybe you do because you want to take profit. If it's going to be flat, you might want to have a limit order to stop you out if it doesn't do the gap that you want. So it can be useful information. Finally, NVIDIA decides to get dragged up by AMD and go into the high, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. The plan of action was to scalp it here to get it out in front of the high of the day, and we got 10 minutes till the imbalances. I have no more positions, and let's go to the desk. We've got news. Watch it be in the chip space as I got out.
Google spiking here. Basically what happened was CNBC reporting that OpenAI is saying it'll use Google's cloud for ChatGPT. This is just a report as of right now, as far as I can tell from CNBC. But again, OpenAI reportedly saying they're going to be using Google's cloud for ChatGPT. We'll send you back to the guys for the last 20 minutes of Power Hour.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that the news comes out on Google, but the bid is coming in across the board. You can see the Nasdaq and the ES pushing pretty aggressively alongside with Softy, with TQs, of course, I just mentioned those, Tesla as well, and then Apple catching a little bit of a curl as well back through VWAP, and I saw that coming in, and I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with the Apple short if we're going to show strength going into the last 15, 20 minutes of the day here. AMD with that steady grind up into the close, that should be interesting as well. But yeah, no, I was curious to know what was the last stock that was that kind of halted there, and that was NCPL. Oh boy, where's that? Sorry. That was imbalances right here. So the imbalances coming up in about 8 minutes, guys. So NCPL, Net Capital, was the stock that was last halted here that I checked. Then about 2 million volume on the day today. And oh boy, Neil, maybe a little bit of a continuation. This is what I mean. Price action's so beautiful. Wherever you look, sometimes you can see some nice legs. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, wow, I wish I could whistle because look at this. Leg, consolidation, leg. How many times do you see that? All the time. Sometimes it's not as pretty, but it's still.
You don't need to make sound effects. Fabian and Andre have our backs when it comes to that.
So so because I can't whistle, how do I know when to kind of be like, no, I can't. So I won't even try. Palantir got through high a day.
Palantir through the high of the day. So NVIDIA goes, AMD goes, Palantir goes, the market goes. Oh, no, it didn't. It did not. It did not break the high of the day. Sorry. Does anyone see that was the room? Yeah. Oh, that's not clean. I can't do that quote.
Did it not break? I thought it printed, or it just double tapped it.
This is on a 3 minute. That's multiple times that Palantir's gotten to the high without breaking it. It can't seem to break that one at all. But ultimately, good move if you had any of the chip names breaking the highs. At the end of the day, I don't think I'll take anything else. NVIDIA finally went. Palantir was okay. ETH got back to the high, so all of them kind of worked. Although, in hindsight, AMD was obviously the strongest. You could have just had AMD. Instead of 3 small long trades, you could have just had AMD in the afternoon. It all works out to the same, I suppose. But the Nasdaq taking out the high. This is. Why are they both bears? Obi, man. Did you change the other one too?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but you changed the one on my side. I didn't even notice. This is the function, and now I'm doing this instead of the function of a bull market is what do you do when you have a shock event to the downside? Like news comes to the downside, what's the reaction? It gets bought back up. That was me. I was supposed to be showing the chart instead of changing a stuffy, or I call them stuffies because my daughter calls them stuffies. Yeah, so, I could have just not said that and not embarrassed myself. But when it gets bought up like this, look at the continuation. We're closing on the highs because we are in a bull market. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it doesn't matter. The market is getting bought. And all of this noise that you are seeing with 5 minutes to the imbalances, look at the consolidation in the Qs. It hasn't really done anything. We've just been buying the dips into the same low for a couple of weeks now. And if all of the dips get bought in the same area, eventually you break higher because the market tends to go up. Sliced bread. Wow, good name. The other day you mentioned you were in search of a new pharma long position. I'd suggest doing some research on Viking Therapeutics. Ooh. Lots of buyout rumors swirling, at least 90 per share. I agree. About a year ago, I mentioned that that was a name that I was actually very specifically thinking that not just anybody, the fly is just going to hang out on my screen. I can't hit the screen. That's very smart by the flies. Yeah. I thought Pfizer would buy them, as a matter of fact. And I still think, like, after we had Merck make a big acquisition, I still believe that if there's going to be, if Pfizer is going to make a big splash somewhere, why did I just pull up Pfizer instead of Viking?
Because you said
that's hilarious. You absolutely tend to type whatever it is that you say. So I want VKTX, Viking Therapeutics. If I say it out loud, then I'll type the right thing this time. I absolutely would agree with you that this is going to be a potential buyout target. Yeah, you know what? Why didn't I just go back to this well? The thing about it is, like, because I think the last time I was thinking this, it was in this downward trend. And you're like, well, what do you do with it when it breaks trend down? You wait for it to make a bottom. Yeah, I like this. I got some cash. So this would be one. I'm gonna have to look in the chat to see who that was again, so that I can thank you, because I think you might have found what I like. And I liked this last year. Sliced bread, thank you very much, because I did like this last year. I just didn't want any part of the pricing. Looks much, much better now. And I'm not saying Pfizer is going to buy them out, but the best way to think about it, they have an oral GLP, and they're not big enough, even if things work out well, to really ramp up production for themselves. They'd have to raise a bunch, and that's why even on good news, you see it flush back down, because everyone understands the ramifications. I need to partner with somebody, get bought out, or raise a ton of cash to be able to long-term make it work. And I feel like you've got this big, let's just say, patent cliff, which is happening at all the big pharmaceutical names. And so Pfizer's included in the last couple of years, and Merck is included, and all the big ones, and they're going to have to start to make acquisitions so they can shore up the revenue stream. This would seem like a logical one to me, and this is me just talking myself into a Viking swing long. So I'll probably pick this up. I'll probably pick this up this week. Thank you very much, Sliced Bread. You're right. I was absolutely looking for that, and double the fact that I happen to have already been thinking about this. You got it. Looks like a good one to me.
Thank you very much for pointing that one out. Yeah, no, VKTX. I remember the good old days on VKTX when it would have some aggressive moves there as well. You can see kind of when the moves did come in, they came in real nice both ways, long and short. Again, this is an hourly chart. You can see that this stock was I don't know how many times they've split, Neil. I don't think so. Yeah, okay. It was a sub $10 stock that I remember, and you can see nice little push up during 2024, bringing it all the way back down as of right now. But yeah, let's see if, okay, we'll be right back with some breaking news from Adara.
So here is the market. Fed's Bostic just saying that right now he would wait on cutting rates. He's speaking on Fox Business right now. So he's saying that right now there's a bit of an inflection point for inflation, and right now he would wait on cutting rates. Back to you.
Okay. Well, we already know that they're not. So let's just
Don't be rude.
let's just say more of what they don't want, what the president doesn't want to hear. That's exactly what they've done. So with we got about 10 minutes to go, so 30 seconds to go till the imbalances are about to drop. drop we're about to hit. So we'll have this up live. Just want to make sure that we're locked and loaded.
All right, Mother Market, drop that beat.
You never know what's going to happen. I'm having a bit of an eye out just in case we see something with a .am, like a GDX or something, maybe a TLT after the price action that we've had. Would make some logical sense after this tech move that you could see like an NVIDIA. NVIDIA needs to be 5-6 million shares for it to be big because you had so much volume in there today. But in a couple of seconds, you'll see this populate. Nothing on the early look was interesting. We were just talking about fives that shows up. BPMC, for anyone that's interested, is actually a buyout. So they're being bought for cash. That could actually be a legitimate sell action on that. Same thing with Synopsis and ANSS. That's a deal that is closing. One will be a buy, one will be a sell. That makes sense. Nothing else. Open, 1 million shares on Open is not that significant because it's a dollar stock. The trade desk, sell and balance 1 million. SoFi, sell and balance 1 million. There's some big cap names. Ooh, nothing. Goog, 900,000 sell. I saw NVIDIA there for 900,000 buy. Those are absolutely tiny. Nothing burgers, unfortunately, on the imbalances, unless you are looking at like that stock's a buyout or no, really nothing. Open for 1 million is not going to do anything. Google, only 900,000, but it sold off pretty heavily yesterday without there being an imbalance, so maybe that could be something. Sold off pretty big at the close on, I saw no imbalance on it. It was at the same price area. So yeah, kind of a lazy imbalance so far in the first minute. Let's go back to Adara.
Keep an eye here on this market. We did have Fed's Bostic saying that he mentioned earlier, as I said, that he thinks that the Feds can and will hold off on cutting these rates. But the one thing he did say that's interesting as well is he said it might take until 2026 to see these tariff impacts. Now, the Fed keeps saying we're going to see them soon. We haven't seen much impact on inflation yet. Well, Fed's Bostic saying it could take even longer because this is such an unheard of tariff situation. It's so out of the norms that it might take even a little bit longer than we expect to actually see the impacts. And he's even saying into next year. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that one, Adara. I'm watching some of these imbalances, and yeah, nothing burger is a great way to describe them. But something I'm just looking back on some of the stocks that I was watching in the morning session off of the open. Some of the stuff that I was like, all right, well, this is potentially in play. Let's see what those stocks have done across the day. Again, Morgan Stanley, this was another stock that had earnings in the morning. Nice little flush off of the open there. Didn't really give us too much in the pre-market with a little bit of a crumble, but then once 9 o'clock starts to come in, you can see some selling start to dominate there as well. Maybe a similar story to that of the banks that reported yesterday. They all pretty much sold off of the open as well. We know that, Wells Fargo, Citigroup was the one that sold off open, but it eventually got an intraday catalyst that sent it through its highs there yesterday. Closed pretty strong, but today Morgan Stanley, I'm just like, oh boy, why was I not watching this one? Because sure, not really doing too much off the open, but definitely still in play with the kind of relative volume it's doing, averaging about 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, 3.7s across the day. So above, you can easily say above 3 relative volume here on Morgan Stanley. Now take a look at this kind of a reversion that comes in off of, oh boy, what is that? What is that anchored VWAP? So again, this is what I mean. You see, when you're looking at charts properly, you can see some levels of confluence. I obviously missed this anchored that I have, which found some support and then gave us a little bit of a trend break with some aggressive volume and then a reversion all the way back up to 139.39. So yeah, Morgan Stanley, great stuff on that one there. Didn't really do what I was looking for off in the pre-market actually, so I wasn't even looking at it off open. But again, it's a good idea to keep eyes on. This is me telling myself on the stocks that you think are in play on the day because again, any sort of price action or technical trade can also show up, confluencing with the fact that it is earnings day one and giving us that little bit of confidence for that trade as well. But yeah, J&J, oh boy, was this one quite nice off of the open. Super clean, a push right off of the open. I was like, oh damn, I missed it. But again, didn't really stick around for that pullback hold continuation part of the trade where, yeah, okay, off of the open, it's a beautiful opening drive, really fast pace. That's a trade within itself, but this kind of pullback consolidation for a potential continuation, I think is definitely worth taking a look at as well. And you can see eventually, look at that volume coming in on the break of high of day as well. So pretty nice push on J&J as it creeped all the way up to 166. As I remember the morning session, I was like, oh boy, can this get to 165? Definitely within range. Since then, we've been kind of consolidating. So J&J day two, I might be looking at this one tomorrow as well as it's holding up pretty strong, holding that VWAP and nice little consolidation on the day as well. So BAC is the last one here out of the banks that I was looking at today, and nice little beautiful reversion on that one as well. I was looking for a potential long in the morning, but creeping back down into some of these prior lows, not really showing us the bid or showing me the bid that I'm looking for off of the open. So I kind of left that one alone as well. So today didn't really take any sort of trades on these earnings names, but I was involved in a little bit of Apple and Palantir for myself. So again, I think it was what was in the chat, Pug Life asking how my day was a little earlier. It was okay, man. I'm definitely red on the day because of all the chop that I had on that Palantir, maybe a little bit of Apple as well, but well within my daily risk limit. So tomorrow is definitely another day. Tomorrow, there definitely will be more opportunities, and hopefully we can be making some better decisions as well. Where is the next trade?
That's always
That's what I'm asking. And Pug Life again saying, nice inverse head and shoulders on that MS reversion. Yes, is very, very clean in retrospect. And Magma. Okay, saying Tesla green rocket. Yeah, no, Tesla's been pushing pretty aggressively as well. I don't know if it's a green rocket right now, but let's take a quick look at that one as well going into the close here. Yeah, Tesla's pretty strong, pushing up all the way to 320s. But again, we talk about that little bit of a resistance in this area that's been showing up all week. All it did was kind of slowly creep up into it. Maybe tomorrow, if we gap up, I want to be looking for that continuation potentially through some of those levels as well. So yeah, that's the look on Tesla. Where did that go?
Oh no, we did get a super chat.
Yeah, we did get a super chat.
I'm gonna have to mosey on up to the desk.
Yeah, no worries,
course.
I can come.
But the 350 hit. Sorry, 355 hit, and there was really no big imbalances to pair off. Like the two big ones that you see here, both of those are deals that are closing, like buyout deals that are closing. So, you know, ANSS is getting bought by Synopsis, BPMC. I don't remember who's buying them. Not that it really matters. So that's why I see big sell imbalances on there. Nimrod, thank you for the super chat. Asked Neil for a swing level stock he likes yesterday. Said AMD looks on the way to a breakout. I also liked Amazon. That didn't work, just for full disclosure. Bought a ton, and it's already over 3% and rising. That's the thing. It's going. So get it, Nimrod. We have a button for this. I'm not even on that page. It is that one. Congratulations to you, Nimrod. Hopefully, I hope it prints for you. I didn't even long the stock today, so goes to show you what I was thinking about it, which was not liking it enough, Neil. But there's a name that we didn't get to at all this afternoon. Unless you talked about it. I see Adrian asking about Apple. Well, it didn't do much. That being said, with 2 minutes to go, and I know I said I was going to get up to the desk, Apple 212 again. It just cannot get past 212. The one time it did, it tried to consolidate over. The next day, right back underneath 212. Someone doesn't want this stock to get past $212, right? It just hold. So we'll observe that level. Looks like it's going to be a bit of a big one on Apple. I think that's the only place, really, that I think you're looking on that bad boy. If you're shorting, would be the 212 level on Apple. Good look. It was all whipsaw action. Only 1 minute to go. The market. Excuse me.
Bless you.
I was trying to not sneeze there, but couldn't hold it. Apologies. right to the high of the day without making another rebreak. So we're going to have United tonight, and we'll go over that with Adara, but we tried to break out a fresh new high and couldn't do it. So don't necessarily love the fact that we couldn't break through the high. It's always more fun when we can. I'm going to get up to the desk, everybody. The market recap show in just a couple of minutes. Good day today, Obi.
Great day.
See you on the flip side.
Thank you very much, Neil, for everything that you provide for us. Now, thank you all for joining us as well. Only about 30 seconds left. Oh boy, I got to reach for that countdown timer as well. So hopefully y'all have had a great day in the markets. A little bit of a chop, shake and bake, maybe some taco trades going on, maybe some some banter from the White House, and then kind of a confirmation from the president himself as well. Oh boy, a little bit late on that countdown, but thank you, Adara, as well for ringing that bell in 3, 2, and 1. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Thank you very much. So guess what? Shake and bake on the market, pretty much closing relatively flat. Currently, the Nasdaq is up about 0.06%. The ES up about 0.2%. So, oh boy, have we taken that round trip all the way back. So reversion was definitely on the table today, and I definitely could have done a little bit better with some of those longs on Palantir and maybe potentially some of these shorts on Apple as well, because while the market ripped all the way back through its highs, guess what? That little bit of a supply area on 212s on Apple happened to hold, and Apple stepped down below VWAP, holding that 210 area, 211 area, 210 halves, and consolidating in and around that VWAP going into the close. So nothing too crazy there. So yeah, nothing else too crazy. But I want to ask you guys, because I'll be sitting here still kind of with the chat while Neil and Adara are doing the market recap. I want you guys to tell me, what have you guys traded today? I know there was a lot of strong in-play names. There was definitely earnings names. We had J&J that was really good. We had I guess ASML, that was pretty good. Some of the banks coming up with moves, maybe not right off of the open, but later on in the day as well. So earnings season is definitely well upon us as of right now. Yeah, I see people talking about stress reflex saying RGTI and Joby. Yeah, Rigetti was absolutely strong on the day today, excuse me. Let's take a look at what that one kind of did, closing off on the day. So yeah, pretty strong closing near the highs, 1684s. Definitely going to continue to have this one on watch. And of course, some of the crypto names as well. ETH worked, saying David. Yes, a lot of the a lot of the crypto names had some solid moves today as well. Coinbase, we were looking for that 400. Guess what? Oh boy, that 400, yeah, gets chopped up so aggressively in the morning and the midday session. I saw this happening and I was like, all right, well, I don't necessarily want to get involved in this chop, but you can see once that bit of a trend breaks and we finally start to get some volume, we did push all the way up to 405.88s with a day high, but coming into the close, oh boy, kind of another wash all the way back down to 397. So nothing too crazy, closing flat on the day, but definitely maybe some opportunities along the way there as well. So I will see you guys tomorrow right here, bright and early, but don't go anywhere, guys. We got the market recap show with Neil and Adara. Stick around. It's earnings season. Let's see what's going on. See you guys tomorrow.
Right. We've got the market recap show brought to you by Beta Pro, by GlobalX, so shout out to them. And there's a lot to get to, but let's start right away. Adara, UAL earnings are out.
Yeah, they did. It's not a great look here, and they are drifting a little bit lower, as you can see here. So not friendly skies they're flying, that's for sure. UAL adjusted earnings of $3.87 per share for Q2, above estimates of $3.77. Sales were a miss. $15.236 billion versus $15.349 billion expected. Their guidance is also an issue. They lowered their guidance for fiscal 2025. Adjusted earnings per share guidance previously arranged between $11.50 to $13.50. Now, shockingly, $9 to $11. This is a massive drop. For context, the high end of their new guidance is lower than the low end of their previous guidance. So this is not a good look. However, the new guidance right now is actually in line, midpoint technically in line with the estimate of $10.05. Still not a good look. I'm seeing, keep an eye here in this play here, SRPT. Apparently they're cutting 36% of their workforce, so great push up into the close for SRPT. Keep an eye on some automakers as well. I'll pull up GM and Ford. Apparently, the U.S. is telling automakers that they're facing zero fuel economy penalties beginning with their 2022 model year under the new law. So I don't really know what the implications of that are going to be. Ford actually did move a little bit. Yes, Strobe 9, thank you for the glasses joke there. Derek can see next quarter's earnings. I wish.
If that were the
I
case,
could plan in advance so well if I could.
If that were the case, we wouldn't be sitting at this desk.
No.
We'd be on a beach somewhere. Well, I mean, do what you want to do, and you buy an island. The amount of money you can make would be unprecedented.
Could buy more glasses.
You could buy more glasses, but to the downside, obviously, here with UAL. Fortunately, the good news, if you're looking at UAL, is actually still going to be positive because it was a little bit strong, but a bit of a whipsaw action. We always talk about be careful trading aftermarket on earnings because there was a push through 89. Immediately flushed back to 86. It's now holding the low and diddling in the middle on UAL, which is not that bad when you consider it was in the midst of a breakout. I think you're getting some cover because it's, again, in the midst of this breakout. So holding on to these prior highs around $85 is kind of good enough, even if it ends up selling a little bit here. Someone had a question that I wanted to quickly address. Someone said what was going on with Synopsis, SNPS, and so if you're wondering what happened here with Synopsis, they were buying, and I'll get you exact terms of the deal here if I can. Synopsis was simply buying ANSS, so the deal closed today. And it was all stock, I believe. And let me just double check. I want to make sure I have the exact deal terms right, just in case anyone actually cares about this. ANSS. So yeah, there was cash and stock. So essentially, Synopsis was buying ANSS for 194 cash and then 0.34 shares. So what happens is ANSS is getting deleted essentially getting deleted from the index. And because they're going to move in part together, you would have seen movement on both of those names at the same time. They're just the acquiring company, and looks like a very solid chunk of this. Almost 2/3 of the deal was stock and not just cash. So you're going to have them move around at the close. It was a big big imbalance or sell imbalances on some of those names that were getting deleted today. So that would have been the action at the close or what it was caused by. So you always want to know the underlying. Like anytime something gaps up, I'll let you guys know if it's a deal. Because if it's a deal, it might not move the way you expect it to. In this case, a delete when this deal does close. So the other thing I wanted to talk about here at some point, which I know we're expecting we could see a vote.
I highly doubt we'll get the results.
We don't know. No, this evening. We don't know what time. But if they did, they were starting the process at 4. I think last time it was after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be 5. People have said 5:30. Who knows? But if we get an upvote, I was sort of saying, and we're talking about the crypto bill. I'm thinking now because of the squeeze that we've had, that it would be profit taking. Like yesterday, if you were thinking about what was going to happen next, like Circle was consolidating, ETH was consolidating, most of the crypto names were consolidating going into the vote, and then when it voted down, they kind of fell a little bit. I felt as if that would have been a breakout if the vote had gone the right way. Now all of a sudden, we've gone a little bit parabolic.
Yeah.
On a lot of these names. Like you look at the trend, ETH was trend up entire day long. So instead of consolidating into the vote, now we've broken out because shorts got trapped. So my new inkling is I think there might be some profit taking if this gets voted up tonight instead of the other way around. That said, it could just be a way to get back into the trend. This was the big story other than Powell today. Obviously, Trump and will he fire and will he not was the action that we saw in all the crypto names where yesterday there was the flush in the afternoon and some things reacted better than others. We gap up even though the vote went down because the implication was they're going to vote again. There's going to be some deal making to make sure they get all the votes and it'll potentially go through as early as today. And it was Squeeze City on ETH. It was Squeeze City on SBET. It was Squeeze City on Circle, which was obviously the biggest one, up 20% on Circle, and breaking out that anchored VWAP high from the all-time high on Circle. So this is certainly a squeeze. I venture a lot of traders are going to be looking at these names first tomorrow morning, and we'll have more of an idea after 5:30 to see what goes on with this vote. But still, up or down, you're going to be trading these tomorrow.
Yeah, 240 was actually a big support resistance level. It ended up being. So I don't want to get too into that because we do have other earnings to get to, but that short from the top actually worked pretty nicely. UAL, I want to talk about again here that apparently they're seeing see a 6-point acceleration in booking demand in July. They also expect less geopolitical and macroeconomic uncertainty in the second half of 2025, which is weird because they lowered their guidance, but sure. Then we have KMI. Let's talk about KMI because their earnings came out. Q2 adjusted earnings of 28 cents per share, just above estimates of 27 cents expected. Sales 4.042 billion versus 3.748 billion expected, and their guidance is affirmed exactly in line with estimates, $1.27 per share versus $1.27 expected. Next up, we're waiting for Alcoa AA, and by the moves I'm seeing, it looks like we might actually have Alcoa. They're moving up. I don't have any earnings for them yet. Also, before we get those numbers, as I wait for those to populate, keep an eye on SPR. Spirit Aerosystems and Airbus entering into a third amended agreement on July 11th. That was just announced through an SEC filing now. And Airbus is apparently providing the company with $94 million in additional support. Now, I want to talk about Sarepta again. I mentioned this right when I saw it. Some people were asking in the chat about it, so I will reiterate in case you missed it. The company is cutting 36% of its workforce, that is roughly 500 employees, as part of a restructuring plan aimed at reducing annual costs by roughly $400 million. So that's what's happening here for Sarepta Therapeutics, SRPT. I don't have Alcoa earnings yet. I will let you guys know right away.
Yeah, for Kinder Morgan, I mean, like an energy name, obviously you're probably in that one for the divvy and not how much it's going to move. Just remember with Sarepta, yuckity yuck on the daily is about all you can say. There's a lot more that this could go, obviously. So just keep in mind the bigger time frame. This is gapped down like 4 times from 100, and this is barely putting in a dent from 50. There's a lot that this could do for continuation without even making a dent in the selling that's happened. 15% short flow as well. We'll get to your super chat, Nimrod, after we Alcoa earnings.
Yep, so let's talk about it. They did have a miss here for adjusted earnings, and it's kind of significant, 39 cents per share versus 47 expected. Sales, though, beating estimates, 3.018 billion versus 2.909 billion expected. Let's take a look here at UAL, because I can give you guys some more details with their earnings. So revenue was actually up here on a 1.7% in a year-over-year basis, though it did miss estimates. Adjusted earnings per share, as mentioned earlier, they beat. Their passenger revenue, also a miss, 13.84 billion versus 13.92 billion expected. And as I mentioned, they actually cut their guidance for the fiscal year, even though they said they're expecting less macroeconomic headwinds in the second half of the year. So, but either way, all I can do is say what they actually gave us. So let's take a look here. Yeah, they're just highlighting some financial elements. Apparently, this is their best Q2 post-pandemic on-time departure. So I don't know what to make of that metric, but nice job there. Also, speaking of airlines, another one, Delta, they reported last week. I bring them up now because Saturday will be the 1-year anniversary of the fated CrowdStrike outage. So if you guys are interested in infographics on that, I am working on one. It should be out by Friday to commemorate the 1-year anniversary. Hey, that is a weird thing to commemorate, but I am here and I will make infographics. So there you go. Yes, sir. And thank you so much. And by the way, so I say Nimrod because Sharif does, and I thought I had heard him ask you which way to pronounce it, because Nimrod. You let me know if I'm saying it wrong. If I'm getting your name wrong, I have no intention of doing that. That's what Sharif was saying. But we got a super chat in here, and I agree with you, and we're gonna fix it. I can't fix this issue. I don't know how we do it. Neil, we the people demand justice for Adara. Where is her sticker? I think there is one. No emoji, no peace. There's me, there's Sean, there's Brendan. There is one? Yeah. There is one? Where is it? It's always been there. Is it there? It's like this. I'm going like this. It's hard to see my face in it. Okay, so apparently there is an Adara one.
I have no idea how you can use it, but apparently we do have justice. But thank you for pointing it out. Sports and Stonk says that is definitely something we can all get behind. You better believe we can all get behind that. And again, if it's there, it's there. And it is blasphemous, Mr. Ducats, if it's not going to be there. Where? I'm blind. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
I love that that's the one it is. That's too funny.
I mean, that's an interesting. What's going on in that picture? You're like pointing at something?
Yeah, I guess I posed like that for the photo, so that's my photo. I didn't even remember I posed like that, but either way, kind of fun.
I should have one where I'm like, just like that.
I posted, honestly, what I did when Mark Anthony took the photos is I just like moved around until I got to leave, and then I just hoped for the best. So that's kind of how I take photos. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any more news happening right now for you guys. We talked about Sarepta with that 36% workforce layoff, which, yes, that is crazy. That is pretty wild. I put SEPT instead of SRPT, nice. Also, thank you to Kryptonian Noland saying protect the First Lady of Trader TV at all costs. I don't know about that. I don't know, but I do appreciate the kind words. Yeah, good times there. Guys, let us know what tickers you want to look at. I will pull it out. RGTI says Bobby Axelrod. RGTI had quite... Oh, I like the little ding, ding, ding. RGTI had quite the breakout today. I know Joe talked about this one and his catalyst a little bit on the midday. Basically, the company apparently unveiling the largest multi-chip quantum computer, which cuts the 2-qubit gate error rate by half. Apparently, they're also planning a 100-plus qubit launch. So with quantum, I would say maybe look into it, make sure that you know what is being talked about and what is being discussed. They're also, these stocks are like insanely volatile, so that's something worth being careful of as well. We know the short float is huge, but there's also a lot of more high-profile people who are either short or they're advocating for shorts. So I think that's something to be aware of. SBET, says Tyler Smith. I mean, yeah, I think everyone's discussed SBET today except for maybe me, but good look here for SBET. This is actually in a nice little grindy uptrend all day, to borrow a bit of an obiism there with a grindy uptrend. But let's take a look here at the daily. Oh my God, this daily chart gives me a headache. So yeah, it's a little hard to talk about the daily. I would say from when we based out here in July, I think we're trying to push higher. Let's see what happens. I think we've already filled the gap, so that's nice. We filled the gap literally as of today with a new gap. So gap on gap violence. I don't know what to say here, but yeah, I mean, let's see if we can continue that $50 level. If I were to be really boring, A, because that's what we rejected previously. B, it's a $50 level. I think that could be the next level to watch.
One thing, it's generally going with ETH, but not perfectly.
No.
Because it's so, and these any of these like treasury type plays, we've all seen it with MSTR. There are going to be moments where you have some hedge plays getting done, like people going short MSTR long Bitcoin or whatever. So you're going to probably see some of that start to materialize. So they won't always go one-to-one. But in a general sense, if you were just using ETH as your futures for SBET or for Circle, you weren't doing too bad in terms of getting bigger percentage moves out of a structured long. It did break down at the end of the day. And because things are so extreme with this stock after the announcement, I would just be very, very cautious of any heavy down candles in ETH or in crypto in general, because this could fall apart a heck of a lot faster than you will see in ETH in particular. So just be very careful. When the bid gets lost on this, you might see, I don't know, VWAP starts holding on a big dip after it was breaking on ETH, but SBET just continues going down. Well, that's because it's much more likely to have the bid fall away faster and have less market making done on it for a lot of good reasons in this. Again, be very, very careful. I see Joseph Schmo saying ETH versus Solana will be the new Bloods versus Crips. You know what's weird? I've heard that one before.
Really?
Yeah, you know what, Joe? It might have been from you in the chat, but I have heard that one before. And who's going to win that battle? Right now, they're both looking very good. That's, again, just keep in mind where stocks have come from and the profile of the stock when you're making trades. Because I think it's very different to look at something like, I'll pull up HTHA here because it does the best volume. Look at something like this. You want to join the party. You realize, well, if we get back into the highs on ETH, SBET could go all the way to the top. I mean, it's possible it could squeeze up there, but at that point, it wouldn't be any kind of a one-to-one move. It's not going to trade in that range the same way. So just be careful with it. I do want to go over, I was going to say something about Rigetti, but then I forgot we didn't talk much about Archer Aviation either. is going over like some things that could be opportunities for tomorrow that at only 7% up, when there's so many other small caps that went double digits, there was a host of them today, just went under the radar. And it's Tyler Smith in the chat bringing it up. Hey, it's got an 18% short float of its own. We all know that in drones, eVTOLs, they're in the play right now. There is a bit of a head and shoulders action going on here around the 1250 level. That said, for a short-term day trade tomorrow, this one can break out through 1250. There's room to that high. So you're not, like, I wouldn't put this firmly in the don't take a breakout into overhead resistance, because there's a good 10% range to that high, which is better than what it did today. And the nature of how it moved today was gorgeous. I love the things that sold off on all the chaos that we had in the morning, but then broke out in the afternoon. It's one thing if you sold off during all the Powell fired talk and then just got back to the high and then resisted that high, so you stayed inside of a channel. But the things that rinsed, that were already running, so already in an upward trend, rinsed the bottom, so got some people out that might have been holding on longer term longs, maybe got some shorts, then broke it out, so maybe trapped some more shorts, and then continue to go higher. Those are the names I'm going to like a little bit more tomorrow. That's why I like ETH. That's why I'll be looking at Circle. Maybe Circle's gone too far. We'll see how the vote goes. But Archer should be on your radar as well. Oh, here we go. And Nimrod, I'll just ask Sharif the proper way to say it. Appreciate it there. He just got it this week. Sounds like it's written, but for some reason North Americans pronounce O as AU. You're right. There's a couple of other names that I didn't want to get to, everybody, that I feel like this one got lost in the sauce at the close. AMD went crazy. There was a lot happening. Tesla got lost a little bit. And what I want to go over with Tesla is we're talking about opportunities, maybe not just for today, but for all of the, if you're at Real Trading or anyone that has access to the overnight markets in Blue Ocean, remember that crypto bill gets voted up. It's a 24-hour market, and you're going to be able to trade some of the related names on Blue Ocean. Tesla's something you can usually trade on Blue Ocean. I don't know what's going to get it to move in the aftermarket. What I can tell you is we've gotten our close above the 320 level. It's happened. The selling the last two sessions that has been winning the day at about the 320, and every time it would break out, reversal, reversal. Today we close out there above it. That just means for me, Tesla, I think we're going to be looking long tomorrow. Now you've consolidated and you're chewing through that selling at the 50 and 200 period. Next stop is a potential breakout, and look at the room that it has to go if we get this break on Tesla. You break away from here, your first stop is 330. Your next stop is nothing till 350. So Tesla, under the radar type play, because everyone was looking at crypto, everyone was looking at AMD, and oh boy, Adara says, we've got some Trump news.
Weirdly, right before Pepsi earnings, we get Trump making a True Social post about Coke. And I'm just going to read it, as I do with these True Social posts. I have been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real, all caps, cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they have agreed to do so. I'd like to thank all of those in authority at Coca-Cola. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see. It's just better! Exclamation point. Weird post, but you know, better. Here's Coca-Cola actually pseudo in a flat bottom break-esque scenario here, $69, lower high, lower high, lower high. Pepsi earnings tomorrow. We're going to talk about tomorrow's trade today. I think can look at some of these earnings tomorrow. Pepsi actually looks like it's consolidating to maybe break higher. That 137 breakout level could be of interest. I'm going to quickly, if you don't mind, I'm just going to run through some of these names reporting tomorrow so we can look at them. TSM is at all-time highs. I think if there's like a pullback, we have some obvious previous resistance at 227, but that would be like a $10 pullback. We have to wait and see what happens there. Also, I just saw some news on Amazon. Apparently, the company has defeated a proposed class action suit by Prime Video subscribers over the introduction of commercials. That's weird. People would sue over that anyway. So not that shocking, I guess, that it sorted out okay for them. Let's take a look at Netflix, because Netflix is another one.
That's a biggie. Reporting
tomorrow. Netflix cannot get back above that 1275 area. I think there's, if we break this 1230 low that we put it on Friday, and yes, I remember that without looking, eidetic memory. If we break below that area, that maybe could be of interest. I mean, this is the type of stock that I watch for intraday trading, and I know not everybody does. There are, a couple more that I want to go over. If you don't mind, I'm just going to do rapid fire here.
Go for it.
ASML broke out of the daily uptrend today after earnings. Let's wait and see what happens, but I think it could be of note. That is for sure. Also, we have some comments coming out here. I'm unsure who's saying this, but people just talking about the illegal crisis and market volatility if we actually get Trump's firing Powell. Again, we kind of know this. I can't really see who wrote this note either. I'm just seeing it come through. So yeah, ASML, I think that break of that uptrend is certainly of significance. We'll go over GE as well. They report tomorrow morning. And oh my gosh, GE. Uptrend, uptrend, uptrend. I'm going to say the same thing I said about TSM. We come back to like previous resistance. I think it's of interest, and I would argue previous resistance is going to be a lot easier to go back to GE than TSM. Just from a dollar perspective, but also the setups of the charts.
The only thing better than GE is GEV.
I know you would pick GEV as one of your picks for Jimmy Carter, yeah.
I'm just saying. They're both good. Don't get me wrong. And if you owned GE a few years ago, then you got GEV by proxy, because when they split it into three things, although I immediately sold GE Healthcare, I wonder what that's doing now. Do I regret that? Whoops. Where is GE Healthcare? That's right. Isn't it GH, not GHC?
GEHC.
GHC. Why did I think it was only GH? So I feel pretty good about that one because that's not really doing much. So the right ones to hold and keep are GE and GEV. Go get them. And I'm going to throw this out there because as you mentioned it, regardless of what your politics are, cane syrup is just better. It's just better. And I put it in the chat. Caveat, this is coming from a person. My grandfather picked sugarcane in Antigua for a living. And if you've ever been down on the islands, you get some sugarcane, you just suck on it, it's great. It's just more natural. I won't have, if I'm making a mojito, I want cane syrup in it. It's better for you to have natural instead of fructose. It's just good for it's better for your health, and I think it tastes better as well. That being said, is it going to move the needle that much? I don't know. Is it the most important issue in the world? I don't know that that's true, but I think it's better for everyone's health, and it's better for taste. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But let's go back over to the market. There is one other thing I wanted to make sure we covered here with about 3 minutes to go. When you look at some of the strength, we talked some about the biotech names that were going up, but what we didn't really mention outside of showing you that SMR was going was look at the move. We had URA breaking out today. Like URA up a couple of points, literally breaking out on the daily chart. And there's another leg coming up. The numbers that are getting thrown out in terms of the size of the deals that are getting signed, and whether it's a nat gas company that signs a deal for these big data centers and you're not actually seeing any fall through yet for the nuclear names, the truth of the matter is if you have the potential to power the future of AI, then you're going to get a bit of a bump. And we saw this, we're seeing this with SMR, which we're thinking about what to look for tomorrow, up 8.5% today. It's breaking out on the daily chart. And it's NNE as well, nanonuclear. It's on the verge of a breakout, so maybe a secondary play that's getting a little bit of catch up. This should be on our watch tomorrow because uranium's been fantastic. Lee Yi in the chat saying they've been in uranium since last August. Congratulations. My play was through, look, I just mentioned GEV for an energy play. That was my Jimmy Carter pick, and I own SMR. Those are the ones that I like, but go get them because they're all looking absolutely fantastic. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint, says you had me at mojito. It's just a great summer drink.
It is literally one of my favorites.
But it's not the same unless you use cane syrup. When I go out, I even ask. I'm one of those. I'm not that guy, but I'm like, you're using cane syrup just to be sure because I don't like it when you don't. If you're at a legitimate bar, I feel like you should be. That's neither here nor there. It's kind of like when someone asks me, like if I tell someone that I want like an old fashioned or a Manhattan or something like that, and I want bourbon. I want bourbon in it, and it's like a lot of times, especially in Canada, they'll use rye without asking if you really want it with bourbon.
Canadian,
because it's a Canadian thing, and I'm like, you do realize that you should be putting bourbon in that. And anyways, that's just neither here nor there. You shouldn't make assumptions just because we're in Canada. Not everyone in Canada prefers rye, okay? I know it's very un-Canadian of me to say that, but the truth is the truth no matter what we think. 2 minutes to go here, everybody. I know, I like, travel with Rob likes a Negroni. Those are tasty as well. Only a couple minutes before we get out of here. Just wanted to recap a couple of things because if we look at the earnings names, the price action hasn't really changed. Like Alcoa spiked, came right back in. If it was doing more, we'd talk about it. Certainly more. UAL, which I would suspect the fact that it's holding, despite a bit of a disappointing tape, it's holding up because that level on the daily, the prior high held supported at about 85, 86 bucks. So good sign. You're still in the consolidation. Even though the move was down on the UAL earnings, you're still getting a good consolidation hold. Kinder Morgan, let's be real. You own this for the dividend if you own it at all. It doesn't move, and it didn't move. So, I mean, all systems the same for KMI there. I don't think that's going to be something that we're going to be trading too heavily as day traders. But we will be paying attention and very close attention to any developments that come overnight with regards to this crypto bill. If they get the vote done, will it come up or down? Regardless, you're going to be watching those stocks here, I promise you. And
MP
Materials News?
stock offering. Yeah, they just announced a $500 million public offering of common stock, which is funny because that's the exact amount of their Apple deal, LOL. I'm sorry to say LOL out loud, but there's, to quote Kendrick Lamar, poetic justice. Yeah, this thing here, $500 deal, sorry, $500 million deal, $500 million stock offering. Obi, I'm going to say it, oh boy.
Oh, yeah, you can say LOL out loud. We need a, there it is. Oh, we're going all over the place. I don't even know where we're headed. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. Remember, one thing about MP, they're the only U.S. source, but they're still taking it out of the ground, per se, and sending it somewhere else because they just don't, like, they don't have the facilities here yet. And that's one of the reasons they need to raise cash. That's why it's good for them that they got the DoD deal and the commitment from Apple, but they still need to raise money. And when the stock goes up almost double, you can expect that they're going to do the proper thing and the smart and constructive thing, and you take advantage of that to raise some capital. I think long-term it's good. It sucks now. I think hopefully, I'm looking for a dip buy opportunity myself, selfishly, so maybe this gives us an opportunity for that stock to come back in. But you know what time it is, everybody? To look at a really cool, what is that? The winner of the day was Rigetti over AMD. You know why it's the winner of the day? Because Circle was. How was Circle not beating? Circle's number 6. How did Circle lose to Rigetti? Okay, fair. Okay,
I have a theory as to why Circle lost some of these.
Really?
Because people, yeah, here's my actual theory. So these are based on people in the chat, right, Fabian? So Circle's a more expensive ticker.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
a lot of these, like Tesla does have a cheaper,
yeah.
it has TSLL, whatever, right? AMD has AMDL. A lot of these, either they have cheaper ways you can trade them, or Rigetti, Open Door, and Unity are all cheaper. That's my theory anyway. I don't want to get too cray-cray, but that, I think if Circle had, like, once Circle has like a CRLL or whatever way you can trade it, I think probably that makes sense to me, actually.
That's fair enough, and I'll accept that. Someone in the chat just said it's because people that trade Circle don't use the $ when they do the vote. So I'm going to go with that one. Next time, use the dollar. Make sure you use the $ when we do that vote, because we want to make sure that it's reflective of the stocks that you want us to get to the most. I know Open is probably the one that we didn't talk about enough on that group, but it is time for a little roll call action, everybody. So first things first. If you want to be part of the roll call, then jump in the chat right now. Do that by hitting the subscribe. If you have not, it's a subs-only chat. And then give a big shout out to Obi filling in for Sean all week. Give a shout out to Sean on his vacation in B-Town. To both Andre and Fabian for making us sound good. And by the way, Ramin is dropping absolute hot fire on our socials.
Yeah.
Shout out to that, the Midday Boys. Killing it. We've got Professor Sharif and we've got Joey Options. And of course, we can't do anything without Adara making sure we have all the news live. Get in there and get a little bit of unity. Not
Salt
unity.
Bay it.
No, unity.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go with the roll call. I had to drop one last unity.
Yeah, I'll just start here with stress relief 9X. I don't have any news in military contracts. As I said earlier, I'm sorry, I really don't have anything. I checked RTX and LMT, and I apologize for that. Pelican, Michael DCA, Apple Money, MK, Mark L, Yorkie, Dinkelberg, Brown Lightning. We have James Dell, Glass Half Full, Niente. We've got Canadian Nemesis. I like that one. Troy Baker, Neil Roberts in the chat. TH going west soon. Denise, Manny, the Tranquil Channel, Ryan O'Day, Dee, 215 Sugar Free, Mr. Henry L. Jai Singh, Mr. Tendies, Ian Rispetto, Tyler Smith, Glass Half Full. We've got Pelican, we've got Havana, Woody, Susie Fox, Derek Thompson, Big Milkshake Trading, Front Porch Trader, Tyler Smith, Hajit Premack, Get It Adara, says Neil. And speaking of that, I have to thank Sharif, I have to thank Joe, I have to thank Neil, Sean, Obi. Thank you, Obi, for killing it this week. We have also Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Brendan, and everyone in this chat. Oh, thank you, Vader Trader, saying that they made a ton of money on SRPT. Thank you. Thanks to Trader TV. So shout out to you, Vader Trader. May the force be with all of you. And we'll see you all tomorrow morning.
Well done, Vader Trader. It's going to be a while. We got earnings to talk about. We'll have the crypto bill, which hopefully gets voted up. If you own crypto, you want it to get passed. But we'll see all about that and more bright and early, 8:30. We're Trader TV Live. This has been your market recap show brought to you by Beta Pro, by Globex. We'll see you tomorrow.
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.